Let's get it, 580 Sports Talk, live and direct on a Thursday. It's our final show before a 3-day holiday weekend. We've got 3 hours to spend together. Let's make them count on the sports voice of Kansas. 580 WIBW FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and on video on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, and on our Facebook page, WIBW News. However you're tuning in on this scalding Thursday in the capital city or wherever you may be listening from, thanks so much for hanging out here on 580 Sports Talk. My name's Dan Lucero. I am solo today. Brendan Dworzinski, Spencer Dupuis, both off today. I will look forward to being off tomorrow, as many of you will be as well, for the 4th of July holiday. So this is our final show of the week. We'll be back Monday as normal. And then, of course, next week, big week on the show, Big 12 Media Days from Frisco, Texas. Yours truly will be on site at the Star with exclusive interviews with KU and K-State players and coaches and some other movers and shakers in the Big 12. That's all coming up next week as we move closer and closer to football season. But we got 3 hours today. Hope you put the extra strength coffee on the pot tonight if you're looking to stay up for Royals baseball. It is a 9:10 Central Time first pitch tonight, the finale of the 4-game series in Seattle between the Royals and the Mariners. Royals dropped Game 3 last night by a 3-2 score. We'll recap that on today's show. Pre-game coverage at 8:30 tonight, and then that first pitch again at 9:10 from the Royals Baseball Network right here on 580 WIBW and FM 104.9. So it's our last 3 hours a week. What have we got on deck? Well, as I mentioned, we will recap last night's Royals loss and why these low-scoring losses feel even more frustrating, aside from the fact that, once again, after a pleasant night of reversion on Tuesday, we went right back to kind of the normal for the Royals offense. Not enough hard hit balls, not enough production from runners in scoring position, and the end result, a 3-2 loss. It's really hard to be upset at the pitching staff last night. You hold a team to 3, you got to find a way to win, but too often that's not been a winning number for this Royals pitching staff because of the struggles of the Royals offense. One player in particular looked particularly bad at the plate last night, and I thought he had looked really good at the plate on Tuesday, so we're going to get there. And we'll talk about a rumor that is percolating, thanks to Ken Rosenthal of The Athletic, a player that the Royals are reportedly interested in adding. And I think that the Royals should still take advantage of the opportunity to buy if it presents itself, even as they fall further and further behind the rest of the chasing pack in the American League wildcard race. But the player in the report from The Athletic today makes sense because it's not just a player for 2025. It's also not just a player for 2026 either. So we'll talk about what the strategy ought to be for the Royals if they are, in fact, going to push some chips in and try to acquire some pieces that will help the Royals, not just in the short term, but potentially in the long term as well. Then we're going to get into some football today as our countdown to kickoff continues. It is 64 days until the Kansas City Chiefs open the 2025 season. And the more games like last night for the Royals, the more that feels like not nearly soon enough, right? 64 days out of kickoff. That is Wanya Morris's jersey number. Obviously, Wanya Morris had a rough 2024. And we'll ask a question regarding his difficult 2024 and looking back at players who may have played the largest individual role in the Chiefs not being able to win the Super Bowl in the years in the Patrick Mahomes era in which they did not win the Super Bowl. Because I think you can argue that Wanya Morris was that guy last year. And that may be harsh, but I think there might be some truth to it. So we'll talk about that. And then we'll talk about, does he have a roster spot for 2025? Friend of the program, Jesse Newell, today at the Kansas City Star, published a 53-man roster projection. Some really interesting notes from that that we're going to get to a little bit later on in the show. And because we don't have a show Friday, the great Matt Derrick has graciously agreed to join us today instead of his usual Friday segment with us. Our Chiefs insider, Matt Derrick of ChiefsDigest.com, will come on the show at the bottom of the 4 o'clock hour, and we'll get Matt's thoughts on all things Chiefs and the things that we have been discussing throughout this week as we look ahead. We are now 18 days from report day for the Chiefs. We're not doing a simultaneous countdown to report day. We'll get to 18 days before kickoff at some point. But we are 18 days away from the start of training camp. Matt Derrick, again, gracious enough to move his radio hit up a day for us today and join us at the bottom of the 4 o'clock hour. And also joining us today, Matt will be one of two guests that we have come on with us today. Rick Peterson, TopSports.news, is going to check in for the local sports spotlight. We'll hear from Pistol and talk about his top Shawnee County High School sports stories for girls and boys for the year 2024-25. Some other thoughts on some other local sports developments of late as well. Rick Peterson will join us bottom of this hour, as he does every Thursday, for the local sports spotlight. So two great guests lined up today. And then I'll be something like a guest in the 5 o'clock hour. We did some sports questions yesterday. I'll do a broader Ask Me Anything in the 5 o'clock hour today because, come on, it'll be 5 o'clock, day before a holiday. I know you ain't working. It's just hangout time, just trying to run out the clock. Some of you are already doing that right now at work, doing that in your cubicles. Your secret is safe with me. I'm not going to rat on you to your bosses or anything like that. So in that spirit, we're going to kick our heels up a little bit in the 5 o'clock hour, do a little Ask Me Anything, and I am going to turn a question on all of you. And would love to hear your responses as we, again, we'll do that in the 5 o'clock hour. Plus, what you've come to know and love from a Thursday edition of the show, including 580 Sports Talk headlines and another round of What Is Wrong With You, in which we will crown our first weekly champion of the month of July for 2025. You are invited and encouraged to be a part of the conversation here today. I want to hear from you on the text line. The number is 785-272-9429. You can send texts throughout the program. Appreciate everybody who hits up the text line, 785-272-9429. Also, if you're watching today on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, first of all, go check it out. Go subscribe if you've never done so. The channel's name is 580 Sports Talk, and it doesn't cost you a thing but 10 seconds to smash that subscribe button. Probably not even that long at 580 Sports Talk. But if you are watching along today on the YouTube stream, why don't you hop in the chat? There's a chat feature on the web browser, mobile device. You can interact with me. You can interact with your fellow listeners throughout the program. Look forward to interacting with you in that manner today as well in the YouTube live chat. Good afternoon to our live chatter so far. Paul's in, and hey, happy birthday to Paul's mom. Shout out to Paul's mom. Mark H is in the chat as well. Hello to you, Mark and Vance. Good to see as always. Happy to have you aboard. Looking forward to having even more of you come aboard on the YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. It's a real neat community we formed in there over the last couple of years since we started doing this regularly. Coming up on 3 years of streaming the shows on video now on our 580 Sports Talk YouTube channel. So really appreciate everybody who jumps on in. And we'll look forward to hearing from more of you. Christopher's in today as well. Good afternoon to Christopher as well. Let's get started. Royals 2, Mariners 3. I hate constructing the score of a game that way. I hate reading the winning score second. Rhetorical device every now and again. It doesn't bother me too bad, but Royals lost last night. 3-2 was the final score. And it struck me that it was another loss that saw the Royals score 2 or fewer runs, and they played in a lot of games like that this year. You don't need me to tell you that. There have been 39 games this season. I'm sorry, 40 games this season now, 40 of the 86, where the Royals have scored 2 or fewer runs. It's almost half. It's not good. It's real bad. Last night was the 17th game this year where the Royals have only scored 2 runs. Now, when the Royals get shut out, they're 0-10. They've been shut out 10 times this year. They didn't win any of those games. You didn't need me to tell you that. The Royals have won one 1-0 game this year, but they've lost the other 12 games in which they have scored only 1 run. Those games are really, really hard to win. Royals have only won 1 of those 13 games. 17 games, though, where the Royals have scored exactly 2 runs, and the Royals have a better record in those games than you'd think. They're 7-10 in games in which they scored 2 runs. But if it feels like that well has kind of run dry, like they've stopped stealing games where the offense was substandard, you're on to something. Going back to May 20th, the Royals are 1-7 in their last 8 games where they score exactly 2 runs. And they've lost each of the last 6 games where they've only scored 2 runs, including the 1-run loss last night. So it really stands in contrast to how this team started the year, and part of the reason they were able to build a winning record early this season, they were winning a lot of games when the offense wasn't picking up any slack. They were 6-3 in their first 9 games this season when they had scored exactly 2 runs. You will not be shocked to hear that most major league teams have a losing record when they score exactly 2 runs in a game. And for most major league teams, it is a significant hit to their winning percentage. There's a better way to say that, but you guys know what I'm talking about. Teams lose a lot more often than they win when they score exactly 2 runs. For a while there, the Royals were flouting that conventional wisdom. They were winning games 2-1 or 2-0, and that has stopped happening. And I don't think it's a coincidence that has stopped happening while they've stopped winning any other kind of game for the most part in this stretch either. Only 2 runs last night, both of them coming from Salvador Perez. Missed a 3-run first-inning home run by about 10 feet, which, again, kind of falls in line with his season where he's stinging the ball, but he's had some bad luck when it comes to balls leaving the ballpark. I didn't see last night what the home run probability of that ball off of Salvi's bat in the first was. That ball was absolutely tattooed. They had one of the hardest hit balls of the year from Perez. Made a loud sound off the bat, and honestly, watched the game. I thought it was gone. I thought it was out of there. Instead, it ended up just being a long single for Perez that made it 1-0. And it wouldn't have been a home run in any other ballpark. It just didn't have enough trajectory, I guess. Not enough launch angle. He hit 354 feet, but wouldn't have been a home run in any other ballpark. But still, the fact that only scored 1 run and not 2 or 3, as it was probably about 10 feet away from maybe scoring 3 runs or 10 feet higher, you get the idea. You always kind of felt like they would maybe rue that missed opportunity. And, in fact, they did. Royals did get 1 more run in the 8th inning, another RBI single by Sal, but the opportunities went by the wayside from there. And a big part of the reason those opportunities went by the wayside is because the guy batting behind Salvador Perez, who's been the Royals' best hitter in this series, is Jack Caglione. And I know I sat behind this microphone yesterday and said, and I believed it to be true when I said it, Tuesday night looked like a big step in the right direction at the plate for Jack Caglione. The numbers are what they are, but Cags hit 4 balls on the screws Tuesday night and deserved a hit, and he didn't get any. And some of that was bad luck, but he had 4 balls on the nose, barreled him up. He also drew a walk. He was working counts. It was a good night at the plate Tuesday night for Jack Caglione. Last night, he looked miserable, just completely lost. 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts. And now Jack Caglione's 2 for his last 42. And I can't pretty that up. There's not enough lipstick in the world for that pig. And even though there have been some bad luck and some good exit velocities, and he's only struck out 12 times, so it's not as though, like last night was a bit of an outlier in that sense. Because even in this stretch where he's 2 for 42, he's only striking out 12 times. It's around 25% of the at-bats or plate appearances, roughly. That's not an overwhelming number of strikeouts. It doesn't suggest, again, somebody that's just utterly lost night in and night out. But last night he looked utterly lost. And right now, with the middle of the order starting to go and Salvador Perez starting to click again, the time's come, and it's past time, frankly, to get Cags out of the 6-hole. If not, out of the lineup for a couple of days. Now, I'm not saying whoever they put out there in right field is going to do any better. We've seen Drew Waters' movies. Doesn't feel like Drew Waters has a hit in ages. His average is down in the 240s now. Think we kind of know what John Rave and Nick Lofton are. So this is not to say I'm not clamoring for Tyler Tolbert at bats, but you can't hit this 6th right now. You can't. It's 2 for 42 since that 2-home run game in Texas. 2 for 42. Move him down out of the order. Move him down in the order. I misspoke. Move him down in the order. Give him an opportunity to take some at-bats that are a little lower leverage. Bat him 8th for a night. Because batting him 6th is not working out. Because he had 2 at-bats coming up behind Salvador Perez with runners on base and big opportunities, and he was no chance on either of them. He was out in front of a slider in the first inning off Logan Gilbert and flew out harmlessly to right with 2 outs and runners at the corners, and then he struck out and had looked like he was just completely overwhelmed by Matt Brash's changeup. Don't know if you were stayed up long enough to watch that, AB, but when Caglione waved at the 1-strike changeup, I said out loud, or whispered, I guess, because my wife was asleep down the hallway, to the TV, "You're going to throw you another one, kid." And sure enough, it was a changeup. It was off the plate, and Caglione diving out after it, trying to hit a 6-run home run. There are times when I see the mature approach. There are times when I see the confidence, and certainly there have been times where we have seen him square up baseballs. But last night was miserable, and the broader sample is what it is. And I think you got to get that out of the 6th spot in the lineup. Even though there's not really a whole lot of better options, I think it might benefit him to bat 7th, maybe 8th. Get him away from the run-producing guys in the order, and somebody who's maybe making just a little bit more contact in that 6th spot right now. Because that's what the Royals maybe need is more contact in that spot. Anyway, the Royals let those opportunities go by the wayside. The Mariners did not. Randy Arozarena swinging the big bat in this series. Christopher, the YouTube comment, says, "I'm about half past sick of him." Yeah, man, he is seeing it very well. Arozarena had the tying home run off of Schreiber, though that was not a very good pitch from John Schreiber. If we're giving a fair accounting of things, that was a spinning sweeper, didn't do anything on a 3-2 pitch. And 82 mile an hour on a tee. Arozarena did what a big league hitter's supposed to do with that one. Texter from the 785 points out that that was Arozarena showing Salvador Perez what a home run was supposed to look like. He also then drove in what ended up being the winning run, the difference in the game with the sac fly there in the 7th. You go back to the 7th inning because I talked at the end of yesterday's show about Noah Cameron getting the start and wanting to see, and I thought the Royals needed to have Noah Cameron get deeper into the game than he did last night. Because now, after he was removed after 4 2/3 innings, that's a whole trip through the rotation where not a single starter gets you through 6. And that's back-to-back games where your starter doesn't get you through 5. And every game in this series, you're 4 games in a row, your starter hasn't even gotten you into the 6th. That's a lot of work you're asking your middle relief to do. And middle relievers, by definition, not always the most reliable. They can get the job done, but sometimes they're going to give up a run or two. And the Royals can't afford to give up a run or two with their bullpen. But that's just the reality when it's guys like John Schreiber and Angel Zerpa that have to pick up important innings. Those guys are going to falter. And last night they did. I don't know why the decision was to keep Zerpa in the game in the 7th inning. I was kind of critical of that as it happened. But thinking back, Ben Williamson's the 8-hole hitter. He's a right-hander. Zerpa's not very good against righties, but the 2 lefties following Williamson are not good against lefties, and Zerpa's been really good against lefties. And I'm sure the plan was to just get him through those 3 batters, give yourself a chance to at least get 2 outs against the lefties. Unfortunately, Zerpa made one of the bonehead plays of the season for the Royals, where he had Williamson hung up between second and third on a comebacker and waited too long to throw the ball and ended up not getting any outs. The better outcome there is if he's a third of the way off the bag, but he's making his move back to second base, get an out. An out is really, really valuable there. And Zerpa ended up not getting it out. That allowed J.P. Crawford to move the runners over with a bunt, and both runners would come around to score. How I feel about the decision to leave Zerpa in, also kind of contingent on whether or not Lucas Erceg was available last night. It would have been 3 straight games for Erceg, but it was also 3 straight games, I believe, for Schreiber. So, I would have thought Erceg would have been available. Maybe he wasn't. Maybe he was sick. Maybe he was sore. I don't know. I don't want to necessarily pass judgment on that, but I understood in the end why it was that Zerpa ended up pitching the 7th. But back to my point about Cameron. I understand why he got the hook when he did. I do. Even though I think the Royals are dying for a starter to give them some length, and Cameron had not given up a run in the 4 2/3 innings to that point. He was really lucky not to have given up a run. It took great defensive effort by Jonathan India to keep that base hit by Crawford on the infield and keep the bases loaded. That was a spot in a 1-0 game. You have to keep it there, because if you're the Royals, you can't trust that you're going to get a whole lot more than 1 run. Eventually, I want to see Noah Cameron try to get hitters out the 3rd time through the order. I think that's a valuable learning experience for a young pitcher. And it's a small sample size, but Cameron's actually been decent the 3rd time through the order. Opponents are only 8 for 37 against him. They're not pounding his brains in when they see him a 3rd time. It's a small sample size, but it hasn't been a bad small sample size. Eventually, I want to see Cameron trusted a little bit more with that, but the move that Quatrero made last night to go to the right-hander against Julio Rodriguez, that was a move to win the game. And I understand that you have to make moves to win games because you need wins. You have to be winning games right now. And that was the move to win the game rather than the move to develop the player and worry about tomorrow. That was a move to win tonight. And for a manager who at times I was critical of last year because I thought at times he didn't manage with enough urgency, I think Quatrero managed with appropriate urgency in that moment. I thought he got that right. And maybe at a point this season shifts towards being able to worry less about the outcome because the outcomes don't maybe matter because you're buried in the standings, and we can see more of Noah Cameron facing hitters a 3rd time through, trying to get out of jams in the 5th, 6th, maybe even the 7th inning. Still think he needs to do that. I think he's capable potentially of doing that, but I thought Q got it right last night, going to Schreiber, and then Schreiber gives up the home run. And I thought he got it right going to Zerpa in the 7th or in the 6th. Staying with him in the 7th was a little iffy to me, but just don't make the bonehead play and maybe nothing happens in that inning, or make a better play. Not just don't make the bonehead play, just make a more decisive play. Throw right away behind the runner. They teach you that in Little League. You see a runner hung up, throw behind him immediately. Make him make a decision to try to go to the base that is furthest away from where they are. You throw behind the runner immediately. And Zerpa didn't do that, and it proved to be costly. We're going to take a break here on 580 Sports Talk. When we come back, the Royals have some reported interest in a former All-Star from the National League. I'll talk about why it's the kind of move that would make sense for the Royals and why I think they could make it while also still being sellers. I'll explain what I mean when we come back. Also, Rick Peterson is going to join me in a bit for the local sports spotlight. Matt Derrick at the bottom of the 4 o'clock hour for some Chiefs talk. It's a jam-packed Thursday show before the holiday. I'm so glad you're here on 580 Sports Talk. 3:33 on 580 Sports Talk. Ken Rosenthal, in his weekly notes column over at The Athletic, has a tidbit of interest from the Royals' perspective with the trade deadline later this month, noting that the Royals have always valued switch hitters, going back to Kendry Morales and what he brought to the title team, and that one switch hitter that could be on the market is two-time All-Star Pittsburgh Pirates outfielder Bryan Reynolds. Now, I don't know that him being a switch hitter is the main reason why the Royals are interested, but it was certainly painted as part of the reason. So let's do the good first. He is a two-time All-Star, Bryan Reynolds, and he was an All-Star last year. In fact, the numbers this year, raw numbers, not great. 237 average, 301 on base, 397 slug. You hear those numbers and you think, wow, yeah, he'd fit right in that Royals outfield right now. But his OPS, on base plus slugging, has increased every month this season from 644 to 732 in May and 772 in June. And he's another guy that the advanced metrics, the data, really likes. You go and we talk about the baseball savant pages for a player. A lot of red on Bryan Reynolds' portfolio, his profile. He hits the ball hard. He hits the ball in the barrel. He hits the ball with good launch angles. He doesn't chase a lot of pitches. He would be the best outfield bat for the Royals right now and would be by some distance. So that's the good. The bad, I think he's only a left fielder. I know he's played some center field in Pittsburgh in his career, but he is not a particularly good defender. And at the K, I think he is strictly a left fielder. And here's the sticky part. Reynolds is owed $76 million through the 2030 season. He is signed through 2030 at $15.2 million per season. So whoever were to trade for Bryan Reynolds would be taking on quite a bit of money. So, this is why I think this makes sense. I don't think rentals make sense for the Royals in 2025. I don't think going and getting a player who's going to help you for 3 months makes sense. Like going and getting a Ben Zobrist or a Johnny Cueto, that kind of a trade like the Royals did in 2015. That doesn't make any sense because the playoffs are enough of a long shot in 2025. You might not probably won't get the payoff that you're looking for. But if you get somebody who can help you in 2026 and 2027, and Reynolds is only 30, he should have a couple of good years still left ahead of him, particularly given the fact that the quality of his contact at the plate is still there and his batting eye is still intact. He's not walking any less or striking out appreciably more, anything like that. So targeting players who could help form your core and help be complementary players to Bobby Witt Jr. in the lineup in 2026 and beyond, I think makes a lot of sense. And if the Royals are willing to absorb a good chunk of that $76 million, that's $74 million a contract, then a $2 million buyout when you decline his club option for 2031, because at that point, probably going to decline the club option. As the more of that $76 million you're willing to pick up, and $15 million a year is fairly modest, honestly, for an above average, a 3-win outfielder, which is what Reynolds has pretty consistently been for the Pirates the last 4 years. That's the going rate. So if you're willing to spend that, and I think the Royals ought to be, see how much of that contract you're willing to take on. That then decreases how much you're going to have to send back. The quality of the prospect that you're going to have to send back. It doesn't mean you're going to get him for free just for the price of picking up the contract, but that's a player you might be able to go get that isn't going to cost you a Carter Jensen or a Drew Beam or a Luwinder Avila or a Noah Cameron. In other words, it's not going to cost you a guy that might be able to also help you in 2026 and beyond. So I think that's the kind of move that is worth making for the Royals, and they ought to They ought to be interested in doing that. And if they had that kind of money to pay Anthony Santander, remember the offseason they offered Santander reportedly $22 million a year? If they had $22 million a year for Santander, they got $15 million a year for Bryan Reynolds from next year, moving into the next few. I'd make that call if I were JJ Piccolo, and I'd see how much of that contract John Sherman was willing to swallow. We'll take a break here on 580 Sports Talk. When we come back, we're talking local sports with the great Rick Peterson on 580 WIBW. We are joined on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline by the great Rick Peterson from TopSports.news for the local sports spotlight. We do it every Thursday here on 580 Sports Talk. Pistol covers all things Shawnee County High School sports and Washburn University athletics for TopSports.news. Pistol, always a joy to hear from you, but we start with a note of melancholy today, as you reported over at TopSports.news. State champion coach and former AD and principal and school president at Hayden, Rick Strecker, passed away on Saturday. What are your memories of Rick Strecker, and what made him a successful coach and administrator and able to continue and be a part of that Hayden tradition?
He was a Hall of Famer. I mean, he was great. He won 5 state titles, and he served Hayden in basically everything you could serve him in. And he was a head coach. He was an athletic director. He was a principal. He was a president for almost 2 decades. And everything he did, he threw his heart into. And I considered him a very close friend. I was fortunate enough to have a long conversation with him after he got the cancer diagnosis, and he was fighting it like he fought everything else, but it got him. That pancreatic cancer is hard to overcome, and it eventually got him, but nothing but great memories of Rick Strecker.
Yes, continued thoughts and prayers to family, friends, and loved ones of Rick Strecker, who did pass away over the weekend. Let's now get back to some positive, as we do have over at TopSports.news your lists of the top sports stories in Shawnee County for boys athletics and girls athletics for 2024 and 2025. And there was one underlying theme of both of them, and we had kind of touched on this last week, Pistol, is that there were a lot of near misses among the Shawnee County teams in 2025, whether it was on the basketball court where you had opportunities for a repeat title for Silver Lake girls or an undefeated title for both Highland Park and Highland Park boys and Seaman girls in 5A, whether it was other opportunities on the diamond, on the track, on the wrestling mats. There were a lot of second places for Topeka and Shawnee County teams this year. And those are absolutely nothing to be ashamed of, but it was kind of a year where it felt like, man, there were a lot of teams that were so close and so great, but just could not get over that final hurdle.
Yeah, it was a good year. Like you said, it could have been a historical year. If you get just like half of those near misses in, people are talking about what a great, great year it was. But hey, like you said, I mean, it's a great accomplishment to even put yourself in that position because, a lot of people across the state, a lot of schools across the state would just love to be in a championship game and have a chance to win a championship.
One team that did win a championship, and it had been an elusive one for them for a lot of years, the Washburn Rural girls soccer team. That was your number one girls sports story of 2024-25 in Shawnee County. The Washburn Rural girls winning the 6A state championship. When you consider how many near misses that program has had, how difficult it has been for programs outside of the Kansas City metro area to kick the door down and win soccer titles in the history of girls soccer as a high school sport in Kansas, is that one of the more gratifying state championship victories that you've had a chance to cover, and one of the more gratified coaches in Brian Hensel that has finally been able to burst through that glass ceiling?
Yeah. And that's why it was number one for me. There could have been, two or three, great ones that could have been number one. But the fact that they have been in the Final Four for 11 straight years in a class that just is so, so tough with the Kansas City area teams and things like that. And Brian Hensel will go down in history as one of the most successful coaches in boys and girls soccer. And for him to not have one just seemed to be, criminal almost. So it was very, very big for them to get it. And the funny thing was that, way back before the season ever started, Coach Hensel told me he thought this was the team that would have a chance to do it. And that shows about how good they were, and they still had to go to penalty kicks to get it done.
The number two story on your list of the top county girls high school sports stories was Ryan Miller's record-setting and championship-winning junior season at Seaman. She won the 800, 1600, 3200 at the 5A state meet, and also finished as the runner-up in the cross-country meet in Class 5A. Just recently named for a second time the Gatorade State Girls Track and Field Athlete of the Year. Sometimes you need that 1,000-foot view when an athlete's career is over at the high school level to just realize how accomplished they were. I don't think we necessarily need that for Ryan Miller. I think it's pretty easy to acknowledge that we're in the middle of one of the all-time great athletic careers in Shawnee County history with what Ryan Miller's doing.
Well, yes, most definitely. And the thing about that is that's a four-sport athlete.
Mm-hmm.
You've heard me harp all along about how, I love multi-sport athletes, and I think I give them extra credit, if you will, because they are multi-sport athletes. That's not a girl that gets, she came off the bench in basketball, but she was still a very, very important part. And then, all-state type athlete in soccer, and it's just. And of course, cross country, she ran an all-time best 5K, state all-time best. So you're right. And when you have people, and we've talked about this the last few weeks, when you have schools like Oregon won you, and the fact that she went to the Nike Nationals and had very, very good success there. Yeah, it's just really exciting to see what she can do this coming school year to put that icing on the cake.
We're talking to Rick Peterson of TopSports.news. This is the local sports spotlight on 580 WIBW, our weekly chat about Shawnee County high school sports, Washburn University athletics with Rick Peterson, who covers it all for TopSports.news. Over on the boys' side, your top 10 list is really heavy at the top with splendid individual performances and team in terms of like relay performances from Washburn Rural. Great year on the track, great year on the mats as well. And Easton Brocksterman's third state championship in a row is your number one story of the year. And it is so hard to keep winning wrestling state championships because, sometimes you move weight classes because you get a little bigger and you're wrestling younger guys, hungrier guys. It's really hard to put together a career where you win multiple state championships. Well, he and two of his teammates each collected an additional state championship on top of one they already had. Christian Marshall, Landon Cacher-Munoz each won a second title. But for Broxman to win a third and go 41-2 in the process in his senior season while doing it, I think that's number one with a bullet. What an impressive year he had, and what an impressive run that Washburn Rural Wrestling continues to be in the middle of.
Yeah, 4-time state finalist. He was a state 6A finalist as a freshman, which is very, very hard to do. And I think I'd have to look real quick, but I think he won at 3 different weight classes. So like you said, a lot of times you're getting a little bigger. He's not huge by any means, but he started way back his freshman year in the smallest weight class, and then he was up to 145 this year. But going to the Army, a great future for him. And I thought it was pretty clear cut. Again, you can always have, others that would have been very deserving, but that one was fairly decisive.
It was also an outstanding year all around for the Hayden athletic department. Over on the boys' side, Hayden boys golf finished second at the state tournament. Hayden football, obviously a runner-up. Hayden bowling on the boys' side with their first ever state championship. Over on the girls' side, Hayden tennis won it all, including the individual 4A singles champion Ainsley Zululeta. They also won girls golf for a second consecutive year, and we were the runners-up in soccer as well. Terrific all-around year. Bobby Tall's athletic department, once again, an outstanding year for Hayden, and they keep churning them out and bringing home that big hardware.
Yeah, and that's just, tradition. What do they say? Tradition doesn't graduate.
That's right.
And it seems to be the case with Hayden. And a lot of underclassmen coming back. I mean, especially the golf team with Lauren Bourgeon and some of those coming back. Basketball, they're still going to be good. I thought Haley Smitline was one of the absolute best in the state last year. Volleyball, they were really young. I mean, they had some good seniors, but they were really young. And they're going to be good again. So yeah, they won't miss a beat at Hayden.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And I did forget that they were third place in both volleyball and basketball in Class 4A this past year. So yeah, lots of shiny stuff that's brand new in the trophy cases at Hayden. Big picture, Pistol, as we wrap up here. What's maybe a story for the state in terms of high school sports that you'll be really interested to follow here in 2025-26? Something new, a new development, continuation of some things. What's a storyline that you're looking forward to catching up with and think will tell a big story of high school sports in the state in 25-26?
Well, with me, I don't look to the new year until I get the old year completely out of the way. But the thing that I got to go back and study it a little more. But there's a lot of rule changes coming in as far as the state tournament setups and some things like that. So, volleyball is now going to be a 3-day event and some things like that. And basketball, the state tournament sites are going to change around a little bit. And so that's what I'm most interested in, is just see what these rule changes mean. We've already talked about the great athletes that we got coming back. And of course you start with Ryan Miller, but it's just going to be a little different of a landscape statewide as far as a state tournament type competition.
Rick Peterson covers Shawnee County High School sports and the Washburn Ichabods over at TopSports.news and joins us every Thursday here on 580 Sports Talk for the local sports spotlight. Pistol, enjoy your 4th of July, my friend.
Thank you. Same to you.
That is Rick Peterson. We will step aside, take one final break, come back, wrap up the 3 o'clock hour. 580 Sports Talk right after this. Our thanks again to Rick Peterson, TopSports.news, for joining the program for the local sports spotlight. Real quick, doubling back to the Royals, what we were talking about as they look to upgrade the outfield. Rumor that they are interested in Pirates outfielder Brian Reynolds. Andrew in the YouTube comments, good to see you today, Andrew, mentions MJ Melendez as an option. I am sorry to inform you that MJ Melendez has a 690 OPS at AAA. I don't think he's a real option. 690 OPS, if he could do that in the major leagues, he'd be their best hitting outfielder. If he's doing that at AAA, I'm not scrambling to get him back on I-29 from Omaha South. I'm not real interested. And this is coming from, this hurts me. It hurts me because I really believed in MJ Melendez. I was all in on Melendez. I made some very rash predictions about what I thought Melendez was capable of this year. Hasn't worked out. Sometimes it just doesn't work out. Sometimes you're as good as you're ever going to be when you're 23 years old. And that's the way it is. Coming up at the 4 o'clock hour, we're talking Chiefs. Matt Derrick's going to join me. Stay with us. 580 Sports Talk. Let's get it. Hour number 2, 580 Sports Talk. On this Thursday afternoon, it's our final show before the 3-day weekend. We got 2 more hours to hang out. Let's make them count here on the Sports Voice of Kansas. 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and live on video. Our YouTube channel is 580 Sports Talk. Our Facebook page is WIBW News. Whether you're watching, listening, however you're consuming the show, live or on tape delay on our podcast or our video archive on the YouTube channel, appreciate you being a part of the audience here on 580 Sports Talk. My name's Dan Lucero, solo today. Really glad to be with you. Hope you're enjoying the day before the 4th of July. If anybody's got anything fun planned for the 4th, I'm not saying you have to invite me, but if the spread's good and the beer's cold, I might show up. That's all I'm saying. I might show up, bring my kiddo. Spread's got to be good, though. I don't know. You know, I'm pretty simple when it comes to, I'm good with a dog and a burger. I'm going to have one of each. You know, some people like to barbecue on the 4th of July, get the smoker out, do some ribs, perhaps a little 4th of July rib action. I'm all about that. Yeah, food's hot, beer's cold. I'm in. I'm in. Want to hear about your July 4th spreads. What are you eating tomorrow to celebrate America's independence? Text the show. Let me know. I'm curious. 785-272-9429. Satisfy my curiosity. Tell me about your 4th of July spread. 785-272-9429. Can also, of course, comment if you're watching live on YouTube. The name of the channel is 580 Sports Talk. Great place to watch the program, interact with your fellow listeners, and interact with the host as the show goes on. What are you serving up for the 4th of July? We'll do an Ask Me Anything in the 5 o'clock hour. But I'm asking you guys a question now. Vance got the barbecue out in the YouTube comments. Ribs, wings, and pork. That's what's up. Vance, keep a couple cold ones on ice. Asher and I are coming by. They're for me, not for him. Unless they're cold milk, then Asher can have that. Asher's not big on cold milk yet. We're trying. He still likes the warm milk. He's past a year. Supposed to wean him off of bottles, but it's hard. That's hard, man. Weaning your kids off of stuff. Telling them that, hey, this thing that you loved, the only thing that you've ever known that you loved, yeah, you can't have this anymore. Because that sucks, man. That's one of the hardest things as a parent. Like, I know I'm supposed to be like, you know, you're supposed to follow all the instructions, be by the book, and no more bottles after a year. Kiddo likes his warm milk at night, man. Helps him go to sleep. Who am I to deny him the pleasure? You know what I mean? Who am I to deny him the soothing pleasure of a binky? I can't do that, man. It's hard. Parenting is hard. I knew it was going to be hard. Like, I didn't go into it with any illusions or anything. But, man, like, little things like that. I'm like, man, how am I supposed to wean a kid off of the only thing they've ever known that brings them happiness? Like, nah, yeah, we got to pivot, bud. Cold whole milk for you, pal. That's tough. That one is tough. We'll do a family thing. One of my wife's relatives will have some folks over tomorrow, and we'll do. Actually, not sure what it is we're doing. I look forward to the sides as much as anything. I'm a big potato salad guy. Love a deviled egg. This may sound shocking to you. I think I've admitted this before on the radio. I had never had a deviled egg until like 3 years ago. I'd never tried a deviled egg. I'm not a big fan of hard-boiled eggs, just kind of in general. I never really liked the texture. So I was always kind of off the whole hard-boiled egg idea. But I tried a deviled egg. It was delicious. So I'm very pro-deviled egg these days. If you've got some deviled eggs at your 4th of July celebration, maybe a little like American flag on a toothpick that you put in the middle, make them patriotic deviled eggs. Yeah, I'll eat a whole handful of those, no doubt. Potato salad, like I said, I'm big on. You find a good watermelon, a real good, juicy watermelon. Something else Asher loves, watermelon. Asher's big on all fruit, really. Any fruit. Blueberries, bananas, strawberries, tomatoes. Those are fruit. Watermelon. Want some meat, some protein to go with that, Asher? No, man, more blueberries, please. That's what he's about. So, yeah, out of curiosity, what do you got cooking up for 4th of July? Text the show, 785-272-9429. I'm being now informed on the text line from the 785 of the existence of deep-fried deviled eggs. I'm going to tell you something. I'll try a deep-fried anything, except for now, that'd be a lie, because I think I have tried a fried pickle. It was also not good. Regular pickles, bad. Fried pickles, also bad, as it turns out. You can't just fry any old thing that sucks and make it good. That's not how it works. But a fried deviled egg, in there. You tell me when and where. I will absolutely try a deep fried deviled egg. 100%. Thank you for informing me of the existence of such things. I wonder if you'd air fry them. You air fry a deviled egg? I bet that would smell horrific if you got it wrong. Anyhow, we are going to talk some sports this hour. Matt Derrick's going to join us. We'll ask about his 4th of July spread. Matt Derrick for ChiefsDigest.com, our Chiefs insider, usually joins us on Fridays. We're not doing a show tomorrow, so Matt's going to join us bottom of this hour, get his thoughts on the Chiefs and the Chiefs topics, in fact, that we're going to talk about here in just a little bit. Plus, we'll crown a weekly champion on What Is Wrong With You. YouTube comments asking me, Andrew's asking me about a fried Twinkie. Been there, done that. Delicious. Little bit of powdered sugar and like chocolate syrup on the fried Twinkie. Goes absolutely crazy. So I'm big on the fried Twinkie. Vance talking about fried Snickers. I don't know about that. I'm sure it would be awesome. I don't think I've had that, but I'm sure it would absolutely rock the Casbah. I'm a big Snickers fan. Andrew mentions a fried ice. I love fried ice cream. Oh, it's been so long since I've had fried ice cream. The Mexican delicacy. I haven't had fried. I can't even tell you how long it's been since I've had fried ice cream. But I love fried ice cream. Man. Yeah, you fry up anything. I'm telling you. Except pickles. You keep that nasty garbage out of my face. But you fry, like fried zucchini? Yep, sure, absolutely. Fried okra? In. Yes, please, with ranch on the side for dipping. But not fried pickles. Fried anything else, though, you probably you've piqued my interest. It is 64 days until the Kansas City Chiefs open the 2025 NFL season in Brazil against the Los Angeles Chargers on Friday night, September 5th. 64 days on our Chiefs countdown to kickoff. And number 64 for the Kansas City Chiefs is Wanya Morris. And I had this thought. If there is one player who represents why the Kansas City Chiefs did not win the Super Bowl in the 2024 season, is Wanya Morris that scapegoat? And then that started me thinking about, okay, what about the other years where Mahomes has been the starting quarterback and the Chiefs didn't win the title? 2018 lost in the AFC Championship game. 2020 lost the Super Bowl. 2021 lost in the AFC Championship game. And 2024 lost in the Super Bowl. That's 4 years out of the 7 with Mahomes as the quarterback that the Chiefs have not won the Super Bowl. And sometimes the scapegoat is real obvious. Like 2018, it's Dee Ford. Or it's Bob Sutton if you want to blame like the defensive coordinator, and I'd listen to that. But it's Dee Ford. Just line up onside, man. Just get your hand back like 2 inches, and that interception stands, and the Chiefs win that game, and they go to the Super Bowl and probably win it. Dee Ford, the obvious scapegoat. For 2020, it's Mike Remmers, 2-time Super Bowl least valuable player, Mike Remmers. I mean, it's not his fault that he had to play. In a perfect world, he would not have been out there for Super Bowl 55, but he was out there and he stunk it up. And so he's kind of an obvious scapegoat there. I don't know who you make the scapegoat for 2021. Like, I really don't. I think that was just a real bad Mahomes game against the Lou Anarumo defense. And I don't know if you want to blame Andy Reid or Tyreek Hill for not just getting upfield and getting into the end zone on that fly sweep at the end of the first half. I don't know that there's a clean scapegoat for the 2021 season. And like, there have been players who have been scapegoated, like Kadarius Toney, Sky Moore, but those guys also made big plays in Super Bowl wins. So they don't really count in this. But if you look back at 2024 and tried to name the player who is the most responsible for the Chiefs not winning the Super Bowl, I guess you could go all the way back to Kingsley Suamataia, but it's tough because he's a rookie and he got put in a tough spot and didn't handle it great. But his failures at left tackle led to Wanya Morris being installed at left tackle, and his inability to even be acceptable at left tackle bogged down the Chiefs offense all season, forced them to move Joe Thuney to the outside, and structurally weakened the rest of the Chiefs offensive line to the point where everybody's compensating for the moves that were made, and the house of cards crumbled in Super Bowl 59. So I think he might be the guy, and that's unfair. And like Wanya has, by all accounts, been a great teammate, hard worker, but like he might be the guy. He might be the guy that you point to and say, if there's one player who kind of has to wear 2024 more than any other, it might be him. But he is likely to be back this year. He'll probably be the swing tackle, the second swing tackle this year. The loser of the Jalen Moore, Josh Simmons position battle is your swing tackle primarily and would step in. I guess it's a three-way battle between Moore, Simmons, and Jawan Taylor, technically speaking, in the sense that I wouldn't be shocked to see some work with Simmons at left tackle and Moore at right tackle in camp, just kind of see how it looks. But whoever doesn't start between those three is going to be your primary swing tackle. And then that bumps Wanya Morris down the depth chart a little bit. And that's probably about right for him to be offensive lineman 8 or offensive lineman 9 is a more sensible spot for him in the on the depth chart. But speaking of the depth chart, Jesse Newell, friend of the program, Chiefs beat writer for the Kansas City Star, released today a 53-man roster projection. I mean, we're 18 days away from the start of training camp, and he acknowledges that it is a too early prediction. But these were the things that stood out to me from Jesse Newell's prediction. Well, I'll start with the offensive line since we're on the topic. He has the Chiefs carrying 9 offensive linemen. No true backup center. Presumably, Hunter Norzad and Mike Caliendo would be in line to take center snaps should heaven forbid something happen to Creed Humphrey. Mike Caliendo fighting for the starting role at left guard in a matter of speaking, even though that seems pretty clearly to be Kingsley Suamataia's job to lose. Jalen Moore in the mix at tackle with Simmons and with Taylor, and Morris a true backup along with Norzad. You know, your offensive lineman 8, offensive lineman 9 in the pecking order. At wide receiver, I thought this was really interesting. Jesse has them keeping 6 receivers, and the first 5 are pretty easy to predict. Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy, Hollywood Brown, the rookie, Jalen Royals. Almost called him Eddie Royal again. That could be really bad. If I'm going to keep calling him Eddie Royal, that's really bad. Or Eddie Royals. Jalen Royals, Juju Smith-Schuster's the 5th guy. He has wide receiver 6 as Tyquan Thornton, the former second-round pick out of Baylor, flopped out of New England, signed to the practice squad late last year. It's clear, they sent a clear signal, the Chiefs did, that they think he can help their 53-man roster because they were working him out in a gunner role on special teams during minicamp. And that is very clearly like a sign that, hey, we'd really like to keep you on the roster. Is this a way you can make yourself more valuable to us? Is this a skill that you can add to your toolbox so that we can keep you, because we would really like to keep you on the roster? You don't just do that with a wide receiver who was a former second-round pick. You don't just tell them, hey, yeah, go run some reps at gunner for us real quick. Just go out and can be the gunner. No, they want to look at him in a special teams capacity, because wide receivers 6 and beyond, when the depth chart's gone to 7 for the Chiefs, have always been special teams contributors. You know, think Marcus Kemp, Darius Fountain, guys like that. So they're trying to see if Thornton can be that. And if he can be that, he's going to have a real chance at making the roster. I still think Nico Remigio has value as a return specialist. We were talking about this on the show, Brendan and I, about a month ago. I think it was when it was Remigio's day on the countdown to kickoff, that I'd like to see a return specialist on the roster so that you're not asking Xavier Worthy to have to return punts. Maybe in a pinch, maybe in big games, you turn to Worthy if you really feel like he's your best guy. But I would rather have him on the field as a wide receiver and use someone else in that return capacity. And I think Remigio's got some juice as a returner. So that would be my preference. I'm sure Remigio's done some special teams work as well, much like they've asked Thornton to do. Sky Moore and Justin Ross would also be on the outside looking in this roster projection. I don't think anybody's going to shed any tears at this point for Sky Moore or Justin Ross, but I would be surprised if it was Thornton over Remigio, but less so than I would have been at this time like last month before Dave Tobe had Tyquan Thornton taking gunner reps. Also, skill position-wise, Jesse Newell predicts 4 tight ends for the Chiefs, including Jared Wiley, who it sounds like is going to be able to participate in training camp. There was some thought that he was going to start on the PUP list, physically unable to perform and not count against the 53. But if he's progressing faster, he's a guy, obviously, the Chiefs liked enough to draft in the middle rounds in day 2 of last year's draft. He would make the team along with, obviously, Travis Kelce and Noah Gray. And tight end number 4 in Newell's projection is not Jared Briningstool, who was injured at the end of minicamp. Jake Briningstool, excuse me, not Jared Briningstool. I'll get that right. Jake Briningstool. Not him, but the veteran Robert Tonyan as tight end number 4. And again, tight end number 4 is more of a special teams role, probably like one of the wing blockers and field goal team or whatever. And if Tonyan can handle that, okay, that's fine. Brendan will be the first to tell you, our leading Robert Tonyan expert on 580 Sports Talk, that he's not sure Tonyan's got a lot in the tank. And I'd rather see them keep a younger player over an older player. But they didn't invest a draft pick in Briningstool after all. And if he's dinged up, that's going to make it harder for him to make the team as a UDFA. Also, 4 running backs making the team in the roster projection. Carson Steele, the odd man out there, with Elijah Mitchell on the team, along with Isaiah Pacheco, Kareem Hunt, and the 7th-round pick, Rashard Smith. Again, that feels about right to me. I think that would be the perfect world scenario, unless Mitchell were to get hurt, which, unfortunately for him, happens a lot. On defense, I thought the most notable thing from Jesse Newell's projection was 6 cornerbacks, Nazeeh Johnson getting the nod over Chris Roland Wallace. And this is where Newell notes that Steve Spagnuolo is a big fan of Nazeeh Johnson, really likes him, feels as though he brings some versatility. Obviously, that's Spencer's guy from Marshall, so he's a show favorite in that way. I was just really underwhelmed with what he put on film last year. I know this next year he'll be a year further removed from the ACL that cost him all of 2023. Maybe that helps him regain a little bit of athleticism that he could use. And again, cornerback number 6, you're arguing about the fringes of the roster here. But I like Roland Wallace's ability in the slot. I think the Chiefs are good on the outside if they keep Joshua Williams and Jalen Watson. Obviously, Trent McDuffie can play either or. Christian Fulton can play either or. But I like Roland Wallace's ability in the slot over Johnson's versatility. And my lean would be Roland Wallace. And maybe I'm being too hard on Johnson. Maybe there are things he brings on special teams that Dave Tobe really likes. But it would be hard to lose either of those guys, frankly. The fact that that's a decision that the Chiefs are going to have to make between one of those two guys shows how much deeper the Chiefs are at cornerback with the signing of Fulton, with the addition of the rookie Noel Williams out of Cal. They're a lot deeper at that spot. I think you feel a lot better about where the Chiefs stand at corner going into 2025 with the additions they've made, especially if the last spot at that position is down to a guy Spags loves or a guy who, an undrafted free agent, Roland Wallace, who really I thought showed some promise, not just in the preseason, but in some regular season games last year. The rest of his projections over at the Kansas City Stars website. Recommend you read it if you did not get a chance to. We will get Matt Derrick's thoughts on some of those comments and take his temperature on the 53-man roster 18 days out of the start of training camp when he joins us at the bottom of this hour, our Chiefs insider from ChiefsDigest.com. First, though, we're going to take a break, and we'll come back with What Is Wrong With You next on 580 Sports Talk. What is Wrong With You? Brought to you on 580 Sports Talk, as always, by our friend Mo, State Farm agent Ryan Mo Winkle. Check out his website, RyanMowinkle.com. That's MOHWINKLE.com. Tell you, check out his website because he's probably not answering the phone. He's probably out for the weekend, as many of you may be, as well as we will be, with no show tomorrow, which means we're crowning a weekly champion on What Is Wrong With You today. And we need help to do it. So we welcome in once again our friend, Brendan Dworzinski. Brendan, hi.
Hello. How are we doing?
Good. What do you got going on for the 4th?
I'm staining my deck.
Sick.
Mowing my lawn. And we have one tree on our property. We have one in the backyard right along the west fence. So we can sit on the deck and look out southbound and just see fireworks everywhere.
Perfect.
All over.
You just put some dogs on the grill?
Oh, yeah.
No, you're a big hot dog guy.
Oh, buddy, you know. There was a study that CNN was reporting on yesterday that, like, no amount of processed cured meat is healthy. Like, any amount of it is bad. And essentially, like, yeah, there are no, like, all hot dogs are bad for you. And I said this on Blue Sky. I gave up eating lunch meat I used to eat like a roast beef sandwich or a ham sandwich almost every day for lunch. And I gave that up, the health reasons, just give it a shot, whatever. You can pry hot dogs out of my cold dead hands. It ain't happening. Never. I will eat. I don't care what it does to my insides. I'm eating those hot dogs till I'm in the grave. Do not care. Love a good hot dog.
Yeah, we're going to do some hot dog talk in the 5 o'clock hour. I'm looking forward to.
Hey-o.
Looking forward. Come on now. It's just because it's What Is Wrong With You now. No, we're going to talk dogs for sure. But we got What Is Wrong With You here, our current weekly champion, Monster Tov Cocktails. Guy who started a house fire with Molotov cocktails he had fashioned in cans of Monster energy drink. Why, of course, it happened in Kentucky. How did you ever guess? Two news stories today. I'll go first. We're going to Darien, Wisconsin, where a distracted driver rear-ended a patrol cruiser at around 60 miles per hour. It resulted in a deputy being hospitalized with minor injuries after his cruiser was rear-ended late Tuesday night around 11 p.m. on an interstate near Darien, Wisconsin. The deputy was traveling northbound at about 60 miles per hour when he noticed the vehicle rapidly approaching from behind. Despite attempting to accelerate, the deputy's vehicle was struck at a high rate of speed. 41-year-old Kristen Belangia admitted that she was distracted while driving by Taco Bell. Whom among us?
Yeah, I was going to say, this is one of our more relatable what is wrong with you. I'm often distracted by Taco Bell.
You just get hypnotized by the crunch wrap, and the next thing you know, you've wrapped the front of your car around a deputy's vehicle.
Oh, man. I love a good crunch wrap supreme. Yeah, I get it. Like, not good. You got to pay attention, especially if a cop is in front of you, but like, I kind of get it. It's hard to eat in the car. I've given up trying to eat in the car.
It's so hard to eat in the car. You know who's really good at eating in a car? Our pal Jake LeBon. A wizard.
No, disagree. You would not believe how many damn sunflower seeds were on the floor of my car coming back from Big 12 Media Days in 2021. All over the day. There's like crackers falling out. At one point,
he got a little wild with the seeds.
At one point, we're coming back. I don't remember if this actually might have been the Shrine Bowl. We stopped at a gas station and, just a, highway gas station, got some snacks, Jake, Greg, and I. And at one point, Jake goes, "Oh, whoops," while he's eating. What do you mean, whoops? There's just food everywhere, all over my car.
Hey, I only ever saw him be excellent at it, like be able to drive with his knees and eat like hamburgers and what have you on our traipse while we were traipsing through the MIAA. I've never been very good at eating while driving, but like Taco Bell, like ideally you got stuff like a burrito. You can eat like a beefy 5-layer burrito with one hand. You could eat a crunch wrap with one hand, but you also have to keep your eyes on the road.
Yeah, I tried to eat a Brahms burger driving one time back from Oklahoma. It's just everywhere, all over my lap.
Yeah, if you're going to do burgers,
did not go well.
You can't do like the lettuce and tomato and mayo and all of that on the burger. Anything that's going to turn it into like a lubricant that's going to have stuff sliding around on the burger, yeah, you can't do it. You got to keep it real simple with the burgers if you're going to eat the burger while driving.
All right, second story today on What Is Wrong With You, brought to you by Ryan Mowinkle and RyanMowinkle.com. A man was arrested after police say he broke into his upstairs neighbor's apartment in nothing but his drawers. And he pepper sprayed the man while he slept. Back on June 21st, according to the Lauderhill, Florida Police Department, officers responded to the scene at an apartment on 22nd Court. Upon arrival, officers encountered a distressed victim with an irritation to his face. The victim reported he had been attacked by a neighbor he identified as 71-year-old Andre Tarowski, a resident of the unit directly below him. The victim told officers he was taking a nap when there was a loud banging at his front door that startled him awake. By the time he got his eyes open, Tarowski, who is described as wearing no shirt and no pants, was hovering over the man and sprayed him directly in the face with pepper spray. The victim immediately experienced severe burning in his eyes and told police he feared for his life. He refused transport to a medical facility but was treated at the scene. Officers on the scene reported that the irritation was consistent indeed with pepper spray that was still lingering in the air in the apartment. Tarowski has a history of noise complaints against his upstairs neighbor and initially denied entering the apartment or using pepper spray. However, that claim went by the wayside when police saw 2 canisters of pepper spray at the front door of his apartment. They also mentioned he was still only in his underpants when the police showed up. He had not even bothered to put on pants or a shirt. Further questioning led Tarowski to admit he had ongoing issues with his neighbor and said that if officers would not help him with the noise, he would, quote, hurt him and possibly use a gun. He was arrested for assault and battery.
Well, this is an example of somebody taking matters into his own hands. If he'd been making a bunch of noise complaints against the upstairs neighbor, this is him deciding that this is how I'm going to solve my problem. And I'm not going to wear a shirt or pants while I do it.
If you don't quiet down, I'm going to hurt you with a gun.
Yeah, the gun's a little extreme. Pepper spray, to be frank, is a little extreme.
Yes, very extreme. Also hilarious. Like, no, that nearly naked man with pepper spray was not me. The man who's nearly naked with pepper spray.
Grumpy old Polish dude with no pants on, pepper spraying his neighbor.
Can't believe his last name's not Dworzinski.
Tarowski.
That's a good one.
One of yours, man. All right.
Shout out to Warsaw.
What do you got today?
What's going on in Krakow these days?
What's cracking in Krakow?
I can make those jokes. I'm gonna go with the pepper spray here. Again, I kind of get the other story. I kind of get it.
Yeah, I get being frustrated about your upstairs neighbor banging around and making a ruckus, but also I think there's like a way to handle that doesn't involve a direct escalation to I'm gonna pepper spray you in the face while I'm not wearing any clothes.
Yeah,
That's
like I'm
horrifying.
at least putting pants on. Maybe not a shirt, but I'm putting pants on.
I'm gonna tell you what though, I bet that guy turns his volume down on his subwoofer.
Probably true.
Guarantee that. Does that beat the Monster Top cocktail?
I don't think so.
I agree. I think it's such a Kentucky story.
Yeah, it really is. The geography adds to that
It
one.
really does. Like, yeah, if it happened in like Arizona, well, that would be funny too, but not as funny. The fact that it happened in Kentucky. Monster Top Cocktails are a winner on What Is Wrong With You for the week. Again, What Is Wrong With You brought to you by State Farm agent Ryan Mo Winkle. We'll take a break, come back, and we will talk to Matt Derrick of Chiefs Digest, part of our Chiefs Insider. Usually joins us on Friday. He's going to talk to us today here on 580 WIBW right after this. We are joined on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline by Matt Derrick of ChiefsDigest.com, our Chiefs Insider who joins us every week here on 580 Sports Talk. Usually you hear Matt Fridays at 3:35, but we're off tomorrow, and we want to give Matt the day off too. It'd be very sad to picture him holding the phone and waiting for a call that wasn't going to come. So instead, he agrees to join us today here on 580 Sports Talk. And Matt, what do you got planned for the 4th of July tomorrow?
Let's see. The in-laws have ordered me around to pick up some catered barbecue. So that's what I will be doing some of the day. I'll be making some stuff to supplement said barbecue. So I'm going to make some beans and some coleslaw. And then picking up, I'm trying to remember, a couple of slabs of ribs and some other various meats. So it should be a heck of a 4th of July if you like meats and side dishes.
Look, I am happy with the traditional burgers and dogs spread on a grill on 4th of July. But, man, if you tell me you're having 4th of July ribs, that's party I want to come to. 4th of July ribs are clutch.
Yeah, they don't even need, I mean, these are, hey, like I said, we're just getting them catered from the butcher. So that's pretty somewhat fancy, I guess. It's not just, not like we're going to Dickie's Barbecue and picking up some ribs or something. We're getting, really serious ribs here. So I have no problems with that because ribs are nasty to make yourself. So I'm fine with picking them up. But you're right. I mean, I find ribs to be an elite 4th of July food.
I have never dared to try. My mom has given me the recipe, and she has done it for years, and 4th of July and other occasions. She does a really nice job with the ribs, but I've just never dared to. I would hate if I screwed up ribs, I would consider it a tragedy on par with anything else that could happen in my life. So it's just something I'm afraid to try. It's a breach I am afraid to try and cross.
Yeah, I tried to smoke a flat once to make some burn ends, and wasn't my greatest effort. And I know a lot of people have success with kind of workarounds for making ribs, like you put them in like a crock pot and then finish them on the grill.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of the best of both worlds a little bit, and you get the juicy tenderness, but then the charred outside. And there's nothing wrong with that either. If you can find a way to make delicious ribs, I salute you.
Matt Derrick of ChiefsDigest.com joining us here as our Chiefs insider on 580 Sports Talk. Let's deal with a little football here, Matt. We were just talking. Jesse Newell, one of your compatriots on the Chiefs beat over at the Kansas City Star, had a 53-man roster projection in today's paper. And the thing that jumped out to me was a look at the wide receiver spot. And his early projection has Tyquan Thornton as the last wide receiver of the 6 he projects could make the roster. How realistic are Thornton's chances of making the roster? And what are the arguments for keeping him over a guy like a Nico Remigio or a Sky Moore?
Yeah, I think Thornton's chances are realistic. I mean, he is absolutely in that category that I think you'd have to put Remigio in. I mean, you've got, I think, 5 that you feel like have a 90% chance to make this roster, barring any injuries. And then you've got Remigio, Thornton, Justin Ross, Sky Moore, Jason Brownlee, I think are all in that category of guys that, hey, great camps could help to make the team, and injuries could mean 1 or 2 of those guys may make the team. And Remigio's favor is that he is the most reliable, most experienced return specialist that they have, especially as a punt returner. They got a lot of guys that can return kicks, but Remigio is really the one right now that they trust the most as a punt returner. So anybody who kicks up that 6th spot to me as a receiver is going to have to prove that they can catch punts and not fumble, be reliable, and be able to get some yards at times too. If they can find a home run hitter, as much as Dave Tobe wants Xavier Ward to return punts, he's not returning punts. Not when he's one of your 3 best receivers. Just take that out of the equation. Thornton, for me to make the roster, he just has to be more consistent. He had some really big highs in OTAs. From what I heard from him, some of the OTAs that we didn't see, the consistency was just his struggle. So I right now would give the nod to Remigio, but Thornton is absolutely in that mix.
Here's a question I hope we don't, and the Chiefs don't really need an answer for, because Creed Humphrey plays every single game and makes every single meaningful snap. But who's in line to be the backup center for the Chiefs?
Oh, it'll be Hunter Norzad, and there's no doubt about that. I think that's even my tinfoil hat conspiracy theory here, Dan, is that's why that the Chiefs don't have Norzad much in the mix to be maybe the guy at left guard, because once again, an Andy Reid theory of offensive line structure and putting it together is that as much as you want to start your best 5, you also want a line that doesn't require you to, if you've got injuries, to make multiple moves. So if Norzad won the left guard job and then something happens to Creed Humphrey, well, then you're moving Norzad and bringing somebody else at left guard. So now you're disrupting 2 positions. I don't know that's necessarily it. Maybe they're going to have, if Norzad has a great camp and Kingsley and Caliendo both struggle, maybe he'll get into the equation. But right now, I don't think Norzad's penciled in as the number 2 center. I think it's an ink. He's clearly their second best center behind Humphrey.
We're joined by Chiefs beat writer and barbecue pitmaster Matt Derrick here on 580 Sports Talk. It's our Chiefs Insider, usually on Fridays, today on Thursday because of the holiday. Make sure you check out Matt's great work over at ChiefsDigest.com. I'm fascinated by this running back room, Matt, and maybe not all for super positive reasons. Pacheco, fairly divisive at this point. I wasn't a huge fan of bringing Kareem Hunt back. Mitchell is interesting, but he's only played like 26 career games or something. And then you bring in Brashard Smith, who I think is interesting and has a high ceiling, but he was a late round pick for a reason, and he's a rookie. What would you assume at this point is what the carry share will look like? How do you think that's going to break down between those four guys? And frankly, are all four going to make it to week one?
It's a great question, Brendan, because, once again, you've got a lot of guys, especially at this point in their career, when you're talking about the veterans, none of them are what you would consider 17-game guys because they haven't been. At this point, I mean, Pacheco hasn't really been that at any point in his career. Mitchell, too, their best years, both of them came in as backups that took over, and that kind of helped them out, and, as far as having great years. But then since then have had injuries, riddling them. So I don't know if you can say and point to either one of those guys and say, hey, they're for certain that they're going to be a back that's going to give you 17 games and 15 to 20 touches per game. I don't think that's expected of either one of them. I think last year was a great example that Kareem Hunt can be a really productive back, but you just have to limit his workloads and limit his touches because he's not got the same stamina that he once did. He's an older back. He's bigger now than he was when he was younger too. So I think that's part of the factor. So, and you've got three guys in that, which they're baked in. You know what those three guys are. It's not all of a sudden that Pacheco, Mitchell, or Hunt are going to turn in to show you that they're somebody different than they've been in the past. Pacheco and Mitchell are decent backs. Are they 1,500-yard guys? No, they're maybe 1,000-yard guys if they can stay healthy, but that's been their challenge. Brashard Smith is the wild card because you really don't know. And you mentioned the high ceiling. I mean, once again, are you expecting a 7th-round draft pick to come in and be a 1,500-yard guy? No, but he's at least a different character. And there's some reasons to believe that, like that high ceiling is a possible something that he could achieve. He can absolutely do some things out of the backfield the other guys can't do, especially as far as his background as a pass receiver in the past. He can do some things catching the ball downfield out of the backfield that some teams are just not going to be ready for. And I think the Chiefs can definitely use that to their advantage, early in the season. We'll see if it can be something that's consistent. But I think at the same time, I think the Chiefs would love for one of those guys to just prove that they are the dude. And I don't think it's going to be Kareem because I think that they really do appreciate him as a short yardage back, and they would like for him to be a situational player. But I think they're looking for Pacheco, Mitchell, or Brashard Smith, any one of those three guys that just prove that they are the man and that they should be the number one guy.
Back to the wide receiver room for a moment. There was a report earlier today, I believe it was from Fox 4 Kansas City, that a criminal trial date was set for Rashee Rice in relation to obviously what happened last offseason. Then there was further reporting that was actually a civil court date that was set, and there's still nothing on the criminal side of things. First of all, do you have any sort of insight into what the actual scheduling looks like in the courts for Rashee Rice? And secondly, Matt, if indeed we still don't have even a date for the start of the criminal trial, there's no way he's getting suspended this year, right? Like, I know that seems like forever at this point, but if they're not even to the point where they're setting dates, which already get pushed back all the time, I just feel like it's impossible that he faces any sort of punishment from the league during the 2025 season.
Yeah, and as my understanding, and we kind of got it, discovered this a little bit on our the Chiefs Digest live stream on Tuesday night. Just recently a civil date was set for one of the lawsuits against, because there are multiple lawsuits against Rashee Rice stemming from that crash. But one of them is set for January. I'm trying to remember. I know it's like January 21st, somewhere around there. So that's one. There is no date for the criminal trial set yet. There was originally a date set in June. However, Rashee Rice's lawyer is a member of the state legislature, and there's a provision that allows lawyers in the state legislature to have a 30-day continuance until after the session is over. And so I believe that ended at the end of June in Texas. But no date's been set, so it wouldn't be until either late July or early August at the best that there would be a date set for the next step, at least in Rashee Rice. And you're right. I mean, the NFL, particularly with criminal cases like this, even once they're concluded, they average about 2 to 3 months before a suspension comes down. So Yeah, I mean, unless there's a resolution to the Rashee Rice case before maybe November 1st or December 1st, I'd have a hard time believing that the NFL hands down a suspension during the season. So you're looking certainly into 2026, and it could stretch beyond that too.
Last one for Matt Derrick. We'll end on kind of a fun one here with our Chiefs insider on this Thursday afternoon here on 580 Sports Talk. Matt Derrick of ChiefsDigest.com. We've been doing our countdown to Chiefs kickoff. We're going to miss tomorrow. Tomorrow's number 63. There's no active Chief wearing number 63 because that's Willie Lanier's number. And Willie Lanier's number is retired. Of the Chiefs who have retired numbers, that's a long list. If you could put one of them in their prime on the 2025 Kansas City Chiefs, who would it be?
Ooh, of any of the ones that have him retired?
Anyone who has the number retired.
Oh wow! I mean, I'm trying. I'm trying to think of a reason I would take anybody but Bobby Bell, but Bobby Bell would be the one. If for no other reason, then I would love to see that dude playing football in my life since he was before I was born. Most of his playing career, so I would love to see that because even just the highlights, he would just rip people apart. So I think that would be an amazing. But although this is a great opportunity for us to remind the Chiefs that they really need to stop giving people 88.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. That's still, we came upon number 67, which they haven't given out a lot, but like that would be a justifiable one to retire for Art Still.
Yeah, and there are a few numbers like that they haven't given out. I mean, I don't think for a long time they had 58 that did not officially retire for Derek Thomas. They just didn't give it to anyone. And correct me if I'm wrong, I still don't think that they've officially retired 37 for Joe Delaney. They just have never given it out. So there's a couple of numbers like that they just have reserved but haven't necessarily officially retired. Of course, their other problem is, like you mentioned, they've retired so many numbers.
Yeah.
That when it comes to training camps, they got a lot of duplicates because they just don't have enough numbers to go around.
Yeah, they're almost like the Yankees of the NFL a little bit. Them and the Bears have retired a lot of numbers.
The Bears are banned from retiring numbers because they've retired too many of them.
Yeah, I got to think the Chiefs are maybe on the precipice of that. Good stuff with Matt Derrick, as always. He's our Chiefs insider from ChiefsDigest.com. Usually joins us on Fridays. Gracious enough to join us on Thursdays. You're the best, Matt. Enjoy those ribs on the 4th of July, and we'll talk to you next Friday.
I'll think of you while I'm eating them, and maybe I'll share some pictures.
A finer tribute I could not come up with myself. Thank you, Matt.
Take care, my friends.
That is Matt Derrick. That's going to put a wrap on this segment here on 580 Sports Talk. We'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll wrap up the 4 o'clock hour after this. Wrapping up the 4 o'clock hour at 580 Sports Talk. Same question to you, Brendan, from that conversation with Matt Derrick. If you could take one Chief with a retired number and put them in their prime on the 2025 team, who would it be? It's an easy one for me. It has to be Derek Thomas.
Yeah, Derek Thomas is up there for me. Although for this specific team, there is one player with a retired number, you would win every game, in my opinion. It is impossible to block Chris Jones and Buck Buchanan at the same time.
That's probably true.
Do it. 3 players is not enough to do it.
That's probably true. Put Buck Buchanan next to Chris Jones. Man, that's a scary sight.
Like Derek Thomas, I mean, obviously all time, all these dudes are great, but like, how do you stop that? I don't know that you can.
Yeah, I don't know what you're supposed to do with that. One texter from the 913 who says Otis Taylor would be his answer. Brilliant wide receiver. Emmett Thomas would be fun across from
I don't believe Otis Taylor's number's retired, though.
Is it not?
I don't believe it is.
No. They retired Otis Taylor's number?
I don't think so.
Wow. That's actually
it's not listed online anyways.
That's
retired.
Yeah, he's a Hall of Famer, Chiefs Hall of Famer. Yeah, number is not retired.
Yeah.
Wow.
Crazy.
That is amazing. Wow. Well, hey, you feel a little less bad about 88 still not being retired.
Yeah, no kidding.
Otis Taylor can't get his number retired. And man, maybe we got to wait a while on 88 too. Coming up at the 5 o'clock hour, we got our headlines. We'll do a little AMA to go into the 3-day weekend. We'll preview Royals, Mariners, and 580 Sports Talk. That is coming up in the third and final hour. Let's get it. Third and final hour of this Thursday edition of 580 Sports Talk. It's our final hour of the day. We're off tomorrow, so it's our final hour of the week. Let's make it a good one here on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and in living color on our YouTube stream, 580 Sports Talk, and on Facebook at WIBW News. My name is Dan Lucero, solo dolo the rest of the way. Feeling good, feeling great. How are you? Hope you're enjoying your Thursday. Hope you get tomorrow off to celebrate America's independence however you see fit, with your friends, family, neighbors. And I hope you don't blow off your fingers with those damn fireworks, man. Like, you guys know this about me by now, that where I grew up and where I live now are very different when it comes to the 4th of July. And the reason that where I grew up and where I am now are very different when it comes to the 4th of July is that where I grew up, fireworks were illegal. You couldn't go to the parking lot of any grocery store and come away with thousands of dollars of fireworks. That was not a thing that you did. If you want to go buy fireworks, you made a day out of it. You drove to Cheyenne, Wyoming, and bought fireworks. And then you smuggled them back in. And that might be a bit of an over-dramatization of how you had to get them back home. But that was how it was. And you might have a couple of folks in the neighborhood that were willing to risk flouting the law, shooting off a few fireworks, a few boomers in the neighborhood. But by and large, no, people just didn't really mess with fireworks like that. If you want to go see fireworks, you went to a fireworks show. If the Rockies were in town, you went to the Rockies game on the 4th of July. Or the Rapids. If the Rapids were in town, they just show out in Commerce City. Or, they might do one out at Red Rocks. They might do one at, I went to one year at the drag strip, Bandamere, in the mountains. Bandamere Speedway, which I don't think is there anymore. But they did a big 4th of July show. That was where you went to go see fireworks. Professionals setting off the fireworks. Now here, nah. It is every man and woman for themselves setting off those fireworks in every driveway and every front yard across this fine city, this capital city of Kansas. And look, I'm not going to partake. I like my fingers very much. I've grown attached to them over the years, my 8 fingers and 2 thumbs. And I don't want to put them at risk by trying to explode anything that my hands might be nearby. I'm going to keep my fingers as best as I'm able to keep my fingers. But don't let that be me judging you for doing it. If that's how you have fun on the 4th of July, have fun. Because I do like to watch them. Some of them are really pretty. And I like to watch them. This will be my son's first, conscious 4th of July. He was a year old, not even a month old, last 4th of July, just a potato with some hair and not really, big on, fireworks because, again, not a month old. But he's a year old. Maybe he'll enjoy them. Maybe he'll hate them. We have no idea. But 4th of July, it's always fun around here. Obviously, there are great public shows as well. I know Wamigos is incredible. I got to make it out there sometime. But however you choose to celebrate the 4th of July, man, I hope you keep your fingers too. I really do. It's my sincerest hope for you as we go into this holiday weekend. Coming up on this final hour of the show, got our 580 Sports Talk headlines to get to. We're going to preview tonight's Royals-Mariners clash as I asked for in the 3 o'clock hour, proving perhaps that Matt Cotrero is, in fact, a 580 Sports Talk listener. Off night for Jack Caglione. Had to happen. Had to get him out of the lineup after last night. So we'll preview that game. And also, we're going to do a little Ask Me Anything. We're going to have some fun on the text line and in the YouTube comments and take some random questions from listeners. But I also have a question for you listeners out there. And so I want you to answer my question and then ask me a question. That kind of makes it sound like homework, doesn't it? That's not what I'm trying to do. We're trying to have a little fun. We're killing time. It's the last work day before a 3-day weekend. It's the last hour of the show. So I want to have a little fun. So I have a question for each and every one of you. And I want to hear from you on the text line, 785-272-9429, 785-272-9429. And I want to hear from you in the YouTube chat. If you are watching on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, great time to tune in. You're not working. Even if you're at work, you're not really working. I'm not going to tell anybody you're not really working, but come on, it's 5 o'clock on a Thursday before a holiday. You're not really working. Punch up YouTube, search 580 Sports Talk, jump in the live chat today. Subscribe to the channel if you have not already. And this is my question for you. This is the question that I have for you that I want to hear your answer to, and I'll give you my answer in a little bit. How many hot dogs do you think you've eaten in your life? I don't know why it is that I'm on thinking hot dogs for this particular 4th of July. Maybe because I have a year-old and 1-year-olds love hot dogs. But how many hot dogs do you think you have consumed over the course of your life? I want to hear your answer. I'm dead serious. How many hot dogs do you think you have eaten in your life? Text me your answer, 785-272-9429. Or put it in the YouTube comments, the YouTube chat, over at our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. How many hot dogs do you think you've eaten in your life? I'll give you my answer. And then when you answer that question, you can ask me anything, and we'll do that here in just a little bit. While you are trying to do that math in your head and figure out how many hot dogs you think you've eaten over the course of your life. And for the record, I want to say for the answer, bratwurst do not count here. My number would probably be double, if not triple, if we counted bratwurst. I love a good brat. But we're talking hot dogs. Good old Franks. Ballpark Franks, Fairbury, the Red Dogs for my Nebraskans out there. The Armor hot dogs. Armor hot dogs. We could sing the song if you wanted to. Oscar Mayer wieners, hot dogs. Chili dogs, sure. Cheese dogs, absolutely. Chicago dogs, just hot dogs. How many hot dogs have you eaten in your life? I want to hear your answer. 785-272-9429 and in the chat on YouTube. While you're doing that math, let's get into some 580 Sports Talk headlines, shall we? We begin today with Brett Ballard, head coach of the Washburn men's basketball team, posting this to his X account earlier today. We had 2 guys sign professional contracts this week, and I could not be happier for them. Love to see great people get rewarded. Incredible people, teammates, and winners. 2 members of Washburn's Final Four team from this past season have signed contracts to continue their careers as professionals overseas. Andrew Orr, the big man from the Kansas City metro area, is going to go play in Denmark. It's not really clear what team in Denmark he's going to play for, only that he has an agreement to play in Denmark's top flight professional league, Basketligaen, I think is how you say it. I don't really speak Danish, but Denmark's top flight professional league. I believe there are 11 teams in that league. And again, I was not clear on which one it is that Andrew Orr is signing for, but he is going to continue his basketball career in Denmark. Jacob Hanna is heading to Spain, the former Maize Eagle and standout point guard for last year's Washburn Final Four team. He's going to Spain. He is signed for UEMC CBC Valladolid of the Primera FAB. That is the second tier of Spanish basketball. Valladolid is about 2 hours north of Madrid. The club has signed Jacob Hanna, and he will get a chance to continue his career overseas. Now, overseas basketball, some leagues, and the structure in Spain is like this, is very similar to the professional structure of the soccer leagues in those countries, where you have promotion and relegation between the tiers. So you have the big league in Spain. That's where like Real Madrid and Barcelona, those clubs have their teams. And then you have the second tier, which is called the Primera FAB, and that is where Valladolid plays their games. So Jacob Hanna will be playing in the second tier, but he'll have a chance, if he and his team play well and win their league or finish in the top of the standings, to be promoted to the bigger league in Spain, which is very cool. So congratulations to both Andrew Orr and Jacob Hanna, great representatives of Washburn University, obviously great players, outstanding Ichabods, and wish them all the best in their professional endeavors. Very cool that they get an opportunity to play. Next on our 580 Sports Talk headlines, we got some baseball to get to today. Some of it is good news. Some of it is not great news. Let's get to the news from MLB.com. 2025 All-Star Game starters revealed. It will not be Bobby Witt Jr. at short. Royals fans, what happened, man? Y'all almost got Omar Infante to start an All-Star game, and you couldn't get Bobby Witt Jr. over Jacob Wilson this year? Where you been? Come on, Royals fans. I know you know how to stuff a ballot box. But unfortunately, it was not to be this year. Jacob Wilson is the surprise starter at shortstop for the American League, beating out Bobby Witt Jr. in the Phase 2 voting. Wilson's batting .339. He's cooled off a bit after a molten hot start, but he is hitting .339. It's second in all of baseball, and he is second in baseball in hits as well. Third among qualifying shortstops in baseball with an .853 OPS. He's the first A's shortstop to start the All-Star game since Bert Campaneris, a Kansas City A, who started as an Oakland A back in 1973 through 1975. So Bobby Witt Jr. will have to wait until Sunday, as will any of his other teammates who may make the All-Star game. Certainly Maikel Garcia has a chance. Chris Bubich certainly has a case. So does Seth Lugo. So does Carlos Estevez. Be interested to see how many All-Stars the Royals do end up getting. Certainly believe that Witt will be selected, but the fans chose Jacob Wilson to start at shortstop. The rest of the All-Star starters in the American League, it'll be Cal Raleigh catching his first time as a starter. Of course, leads baseball with 33 home runs. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. will start at first base. The Toronto Blue Jay will be starting for the fourth time and a second year in a row. Gleyber Torres will start at second base from the Detroit Tigers. It's the first time he's been picked to the game to start, his third All-Star selection. Jose Ramirez will start at third base. The Cleveland Star is starting for the fourth time and is an All-Star for the seventh time. Former Royal Ryan O'Hearn, now with the Baltimore Orioles, will be the starting designated hitter. He is fifth among qualified DHs with an .854 OPS. That's the best American League DH OPS, so can't say he isn't deserving. First time O'Hearn will start an All-Star game. In the outfield, we already knew Aaron Judge is the top vote getter in the AL, would be one starter. It's his seventh time as a starter and fifth in a row. Also starting in the outfield, Riley Green from Detroit, second time an All-Star, first time as a starter. And Javi Baez, also the Tigers. Hey, the Tigers rallied their fans. They got out and voted. Javier Baez is going to start the All-Star game for the third time in his career. It is his third All-Star selection at a third different position. His first two came at second base and shortstop. Over in the National League, Will Smith of the Dodgers will start behind the plate for the first time in his career, his third All-Star appearance. Freddie Freeman will start at first base. It's the fifth time he has been a starter and the seventh All-Star appearance in a row for the former MVP. At second base, Ketel Marte of the Diamondbacks will start his third All-Star game. At shortstop, Francisco Lindor of the Mets. This is hard to believe. This will be the first time Francisco Lindor has been voted to start in an All-Star game. It's also his first time he's been an All-Star as a New York Met. He was a four-time All-Star in his time with Cleveland. At third base for the NL, San Diego's Manny Machado will start for a fourth time. It'll be the seventh All-Star appearance of his career. The DH, we already knew this. It's Shohei Ohtani, fifth time he's been voted a starter by the fans. In the outfield, the three starters will be Ronald Acuna Jr., fifth time he's won the fan vote, and a couple of first-time starters from the Cubs, Pete Crow Armstrong and Kyle Tucker. Those are your All-Star starters for the 2025 All-Star game. Bobby Witt Jr. will have to wait until Sunday when the rest of the rosters are announced. Also, last night in Major League Baseball, headline from ESPN, Dodgers Clayton Kershaw, 20th ever to reach 3,000 strikeouts. 3,000 Ks for the 37-year-old left-hander. Vinny Capra of the Chicago White Sox will go down in history as his 3,000th strikeout victim. Kershaw pitched into the sixth, didn't pitch great last night, but the Dodgers got him off the hook with a walk-off win 5-4 over the White Sox last night. Kershaw is the 20th player to reach 3,000 strikeouts. He is the fourth left-hander, joining Randy Johnson, Steve Carlton, and CC Sabathia. And he is one of just 5 starters to strike out 3,000 batters with one team. Carlton, who later would move around in his career, but struck out 3,000 batters as a Philadelphia Philly. I say later. He started with the Cardinals, then went to the Phillies, primarily with the Phillies, struck out 3,000 as a Philly. John Smoltz struck out 3,000 as a Brave, but also pitched for the Red Sox and the Cardinals late in his career. Bob Gibson, only ever a Cardinal, 3,000 strikeouts with them. Walter Johnson, only ever pitched for the Washington Senators and had well over 3,000 strikeouts with them. So pretty neat note for Clayton Kershaw, one of the great left-handed pitchers, one of the great pitchers really of all time when you correct for the era that he had to pitch in. Personal favorite, been a fan of his as a pitcher for a very long time. And 3,000 strikeouts was a long time in coming. He's dealt with some injuries over the last couple of seasons. He's a shell of his former dominance Cy Young self, but still meant a lot to get that milestone, and the fact that he got to do it at home at Dodger Stadium last night was very cool. Congratulations. Tip of the cap, Clayton Kershaw. Now we have a negative baseball headline. This dropped earlier this morning from MLB Trade Rumors, and the headline was, Guardians' Luis Ortiz placed on leave due to ongoing league investigation. Nobody would be more specific about it when it happened, just that he's on leave. It's an ongoing investigation. And I was in a group chat where I said, not exactly sure why Luis Ortiz would be placed on leave and investigated and they couldn't talk about it, but I bet I can guess. Wink, wink. Turns out I was right. My first instinct was correct. It's gambling related. ESPN's Jeff Passan has more details. Luis Ortiz is under investigation by Major League Baseball after a betting integrity firm flagged a pair of pitches that had received unusual gambling activity. Yes, 2 pitches from Luis Ortiz had received unusual gambling activity. Sources say betting integrity firm IC360 sent an alert in June to sportsbook operators regarding Ortiz, whom Major League Baseball has played on non-disciplinary paid leave for the next 2 weeks. The alert referenced action on Ortiz's first pitches in select innings. I don't know if you all know that this is a thing you can do. If you've got a betting app open on your phone, you can bet on what the first pitch of an inning will be. You can bet on if it will be a strike, if it will be a ball or a hit by pitch, or you can bet on if it will be an out in the field or if it will be a hit. You can bet on the outcome of a single pitch. And in 2 particular instances, June 15th against the Seattle Mariners and June 27th against the St. Louis Cardinals, there was increased betting action, unusual betting action on the first pitch of an inning for Luis Ortiz. Specifically, the bottom of the second inning against the Mariners, June 15th, and the top of the third inning against the Cardinals, June 27th. There was increased betting activity on Luis Ortiz to throw a ball or hit a batter with the first pitch of an inning. In both instances, Ortiz threw a slider that made it 58 feet of the 60-foot, 6-inch distance between the mound and home plate. And if you watch the video, it's even more damning than it sounds. They are non-competitive pitches. It is extremely obvious that Luis Ortiz is not trying to throw a strike with those 2 pitches. The alert on those first pitches flagged bets in Ohio, New York, and New Jersey. Ortiz had been scheduled to pitch tonight for Cleveland, who's in a deep funk right now. He had been scheduled to start tonight against the Cubs. Obviously, that will not be happening. The 26-year-old Ortiz was acquired by Cleveland from the Pittsburgh Pirates as part of a 3-team trade earlier this offseason. He has accumulated a 4-9 record of 4.36 ERA this season. He's been in the big leagues since 2022. And if they find out what looks really obvious from the video, that he manipulated his pitches in order for somebody to win a bet, he's never going to pitch in the major leagues again. He threw away his career over 2 pitches. And I understand why he thought, in a very dumb way, that it wasn't a big deal, where you think, man, this is all I have to do. I can win myself some money, or I can win my friends some money, or I can make some money for somebody I might owe some money to. And all I got to do is throw a ball on the first pitch of an inning. That's not going to impact the rest of the inning. That's not going to impact the game. I can do that. That's no sweat. Nobody will notice. No big deal. People notice when there's a whole lot of money being bet on something as stupid on whether or not Luis Ortiz is going to throw a ball with his first pitch of the second inning of a game. That raises red flags. There's so much oversight for this stuff. You're not going to get away with this. And it ties into what's gone on in the NBA with Jonte Porter being banned for life, with Malik Beasley potentially in trouble for manipulating prop bets. It's the prop bets and the micro bets that are the big issue. Those are the things that players think, oh yeah, I can manipulate that. I can go under on my rebounds, or I can throw a first pitch ball in an inning, and that's no big deal. Nobody's going to notice or mind. I can still win the game for my team. I'm not throwing the game. I'm just doing somebody a favor. You can't do it. There's rules on the wall of every dugout, every clubhouse that Luis Ortiz has ever been in, and they are in both English and Spanish. I promise you this. If you are involved with gambling, you are banned for life. There's no gray area. You do this, you're gone. And Luis Ortiz, by all available video evidence, very clearly did what they're accusing him of. And if he did, he's never going to play in the major leagues again. 26 years old, live arm, talented kid, and he threw it away for 2 pitches in June. And I hope one day he learns to live with that. But that's going to be a real hard thing, I bet, for him to live with. But very, very stupid. Outrageously dumb. Lastly, do want to run down what's going on this weekend in the world of sports. Obviously, full Major League Baseball slates. Great to watch baseball on the 4th of July. But if baseball's not your bag, the PGA Tour is at the John Deere Classic in Illinois this weekend. The NASCAR Cup Series is street racing in Chicago. That's a cool looking race because of the scenery in Chicago that they're racing through. Again, people who know more NASCAR than me can tell you whether or not it's a good track or it makes for good racing, but it makes for some cool visuals. No question about that. You got the Gold Cup final in soccer on Saturday night, United States versus Mexico. If I said anything more about that match, the keep your politics out of my sports siren would start blaring in the studio. So I'm just going to say, the United States and Mexico are playing against each other in an important soccer match on Sunday. And Joey Chestnut's back in that hot dog eating contest y'all like. The Nathan's Famous hot dog eating contest tomorrow. Joey Chestnut, after a 1-year absence, I think it was only a 1-year absence, was back. And he's going to see how many hot dogs he can eat. And I think that whole spectacle is gross. I know some of y'all really like it. I'm not going to yuck your yum. I think that I actually am going to yuck this. I think it's gross. I think it's disgusting. I think competitive eating in the hot dog contest is foul. I think gross. No thanks. Keep it far away from me. But hey, if it's your bag, it's your bag. And that's happening tomorrow on Joey Chestnut's back. The goat. The glizzy goat, I believe they call the gentleman. That'll do it for our headlines. When we come back, how many hot dogs have you eaten in your life? Have you done the math yet? I want to know the answer. Text me, 785-272-9429. Drop it in the YouTube comments. And text me your questions. Or ask me your questions in the YouTube chat. We'll do an AMA next on 580 Sports Talk. Ryan in the YouTube comments asks a fair question about the hot dog eating, 4th of July hot dog eating contest. I know some of y'all love it. I think it's disgusting. Ryan asked fair question. Why can't it be both gross and awesome? I mean, if that's what you enjoy, like, I'm not here to tell you not to enjoy things. If the hot dog contest brings you joy, then by all means, enjoy the hot dog contest. I just am, I don't know. I like to enjoy hot dogs personally. I don't, doesn't look like anybody's having a good time. Maybe the fans are, but Joey Chestnut doesn't look like he's enjoying himself eating all those hot dogs in 10 minutes. It doesn't look like fun for anybody. Speaking of how many hot dogs a person can eat, this is my Ask Me Anything to you, the listener, today. And I want to hear your answer to the question. So again, the text line is 785-272-9429. You can also comment in the YouTube chat. YouTube channel 580 Sports Talk. How many hot dogs do you suppose you've eaten in your life? I tried to do the math on this. I'm 38 years old. I turned 39 in September. And I tried to think realistically, how many hot dogs, like, okay, let's break it down by year. How many hot dogs do you think you eat in a calendar year? And I figured the number was probably between a dozen and 2 dozen on average. Because, like, okay, like when you're 1, the number is probably 0. Maybe like some cut up hot dog as you get a little older. But the number is probably closer to 0, right? But like when I was 24 years old, living in North Platte, Nebraska, I was, probably putting down, I would try not to just subsist on hot dogs, but there were definitely times where dinner was 2 hot dogs and some chips. And that was just a Tuesday because that was what I had. I had an 8-pack of, I did buy the red hot dogs. When I lived in Nebraska, I bought those red hot dogs, those Fairbury hot dogs. I did buy the red hot dogs. They were fine. They weren't the best hot dog I've ever had. They weren't the worst. So I tried to think about it, and I landed on the high end. Let's say 2 dozen. 2 dozen hot dogs a year. That includes just your regular old Oscar Mayer wiener out of the fridge. That includes hot dogs at a ball game. That includes regular old ketchup and mustard on a dog. It includes the Chicago dog, Sonora dog, whatever, the chili cheese dog, the Coney at like Sonic. My wife got me turned on to the Conies at Sonic. I was never a big like Coney guy at Sonic. That was never a part of my order. Now I can't go there without getting one. They have no business being as good as they are. It's very upsetting. So if I said 2 dozen a year for 38 years, that would put me in the neighborhood of 900 hot dogs. And would put me in position to consume my 1,000th hot dog sometime in my next half decade of life. And spiritually, I think that feels right to me. I'm probably right around, I would say 850, 900 hot dogs feels about right to me. But I'm curious as to your answers. You got one for the 785, says 7K. Wowzers. 7,000 hot dogs. I like hot dogs a lot. I don't know that I can get to 7,000. That's a big number. Respect if you've had 7K. Mark B in the YouTube comments says easily over 1,000. Couple of broke semesters in college. Cheap hot dogs, cheaper beer, hard-boiled eggs and popcorn. Hey, man, look, we've all been there. My go-to cheap thing, honestly, I could have probably done more hot dogs and that would have fed me for longer. But my go-to, cheap food when I was really not making any money in this radio game, my first gig, my second gig, those, I think they're 99 cents now. They used to be 79 cents. Those banquet chicken pot pies in the red box you get in the freezer aisle. I go buy half a dozen of those, and I'd eat one for dinner every night for a week for 79 cents. Because you didn't need a side with that, right? There were veggies in there, carrots and peas. And the chicken, and you had to be careful not to scald the roof of your mouth on those. But that was my go-to cheap meal back in the day. Mark H says too many hot dogs is the answer. That's probably everybody's real answer. Too many. Had to guess probably 300 plus. Yeah, my first reaction was, it's probably in the neighborhood of 300, 400 hot dogs. But the more I started thinking about it, there have certainly been years I've eaten more than 2 dozen hot dogs. But there were probably years where, I didn't eat as many hot dogs as that. I treated my body a little better. I'm probably around, if I had to really guess at how many, I'm trying to think of how many hot dogs I've eaten this year to date on July 3rd. And I think when I count the baseball games that I've been to and going to Sonic with my wife, getting some conies, I'm probably at a dozen for the year. I'm probably at about a dozen for the year, close to it. And number's going to go up tomorrow. Better believe that. So I want to hear your answer. Text the show, 785-272-9429, 785-272-9429, or you can drop your guess, your number of hot dogs you have eaten in your life in the YouTube comments as well. YouTube channel is 580 Sports Talk. We have a hot dog contest truther in the text line here. I love this from the 785. I don't think it's a true hot dog eating contest when you can soak the buns to make it go down easier and then eat the dog. You should have to eat it the way it was meant to be eaten. I bet Chestnut doesn't put down 70 that way. I bet he doesn't either. I bet he doesn't put down half that many. You want to see one for the real eaters. Impugning the integrity of the hot dog eating contest. That is a great text. Thank you for that from the 785. All right, let's get to your questions. I will take your questions. Text them, drop in the YouTube comments. I will take your questions. Here's one from the 785 on the text line. What's your favorite homemade ice cream? Mine is brown bread. Happy 4th. Go Royals. Enjoy your show. Those are all very nice things to say. The last thing in particular to me, very nice of you to say. Favorite homemade ice cream. My wife loves, here in Topeka, we got G's. Everybody, I think, in Topeka is familiar with G's. It took me a while to get familiar with G's, an embarrassingly long time to get familiar with G's. Look, I lived on the west side of town when I was single, okay? And I was new to the place. I knew new to the city, and I didn't really know anyone. And I kind of stuck to what I knew, which was, what was on Wanamaker. And I didn't, it took me an embarrassingly long time to get to places like the Pad and Bobo's and G's. And now I frequent those places. I've righted my wrongs, and I am spiritually, if not by birth, I'm spiritually a Topekan in that way. So shout out to G's and the Brown Bread Crunch. My favorite homemade ice cream, it's got to be cookies and cream. I love cookies and cream ice cream. I don't know that was always my favorite. Going back to when I was a kid, I really loved Rocky Road. But over the years, I've grown to just love good old cookies and cream. So that would be my answer. That's my favorite homemade ice cream. My wife's relatives are going to host a little gathering for 4th of July. They do some homemade ice cream. They've done a banana flavored ice cream that is actually really good. I bet, man, as much as my son loves bananas, I wonder if they'll have it tomorrow. See if my son likes banana flavored ice cream. Other questions here on Ask Me Anything. Mark H. asks, have you taken your son to the zoo yet, or is he still too young? I have taken Asher to the zoo lights. We did that in December, which is a little bit of a different deal. But no, we have not taken him through to see the animals yet. Would like to do that this summer before my wife has to go back to work. Be nice to take a morning off of work and go and see the zoo. I know Asher likes when I make the safari animal noises. He's got a bunch of animal magnets on the fridge that he'll take off the fridge and he'll hand it to me, and I'll say, oh, that's the elephant. Then I do the elephant noise and I pretend my arm is a trunk and I pretend to be an elephant, and he gets a big kick out of it. I'm not going to do that for you guys. I don't know that would be very good radio for me to bray like an elephant into the microphone. I'll spare you that, but just know my son loves it. He also loves the monkey sounds and the horse sound and the sheep sound. He laughs and we have fun with that. So I think he would love the zoo. We just haven't gotten there yet. So, but I think that's coming. I think, he's a year old now. I think we're getting close to being able to go to the zoo. Mark, since we've been talking hot dogs, Mark B asks, favorite condiment on a hot dog? I keep it simple, Mark. Mustard and chopped onions, and I'm good. That's all I need. Mustard and chopped onions. It was crushing back in April when I was at Kauffman Stadium for opening day. They have a hot dog roller, and working press may help themselves to a hot dog or two or more. I'm not here to judge, but you may help yourself to a hot dog with a nice steamed bun, and condiments are freely available. But they used to, pre-COVID, when I covered a bunch more games, like 2017, 2018, start of 2018, I covered a lot more Royals games than I get a chance to do now. Some of that was quality of the team wasn't very good for a while, so I wasn't getting out there as often. Some of it is just our schedule. It's really hard to get out there as often as I'd like. Also, I'm married with a child. There's that. So I don't get out as often as I'd like. But I went out for opening day, went out, covered opening day, and they did not have a little bowl of chopped onion to put on the hot dogs. And it broke my heart, man. That was devastating. So that's what I like on hot dogs. Mustard, chopped onion. I keep it real simple. If you hand me a hot dog with ketchup already on it, I'm going to eat it. I'm not like militantly anti-ketchup by any means, but I just prefer only mustard over time now. But I also love a coney, like I was saying. So like, yeah, chili and cheese goes great on a hot dog as well. So those are my favorite hot dog condiments. Love this answer from the 785. I still want to hear your answers. How many hot dogs you've eaten in your life? 785. 491 of them over 60 years. Man, I love that you've got it down to the ones digit. 491 over 60 years. Always Oscar Mayer since Grandpa worked for them. He told us how they were made, or I'd have eaten a lot more. Now we all eat bratwurst. Great text. Thank you for that from the 785. Yeah, that's the thing. That's the old saying, you want to, if you really like sausage, don't go work at a sausage factory. Yeah, I'm sure. I don't care to know how hot dogs are made. I've heard all your jokes about what they're made of, and all I can say is, well, those things that you say they're made of must be delicious. Because I love a hot dog. Vance in the YouTube comments with a question today. What kind of potatoes? French fried, mashed, or baked? Yes. That's the answer to that question, Vance. Yes. Big starch guy here. Love potatoes. If I had to rank the potatoes, the by order of the way I prefer to consume them, I'm probably going French fries with the gold, mashed potatoes with the silver, baked potatoes with the bronze. But they all make the podium. They're all winners. I had a baked potato the other night at a restaurant. I won't name the restaurant. It was a chain. They have good food, but they just kind of misfired with the baked potato the other night. That was kind of a bummer. There's another place in town that I will name because I get the baked potato there all the time. I get the loaded baked potato when I go to Hog Wild. That is fabulous every single time. So I love a baked potato and load it up. Cheese, butter, sour cream. You want to put some meat on it? Absolutely. I get my loaded potato at the Hog Wild with hot links. And that goes crazy. Chili on a baked potato? Absolutely. But I would still put mashed potatoes and French fries above. You asked me to rank the French fries. We'd be here all day because that would be very hard. Love French fries. I think my favorite's the waffle fry because you get like more opportunity because I like to dip French fries in ketchup when I can. You get like more opportunity to get the ketchup in there with the waffle fry. I think it's a better conveyance system for the fry. But yeah, that's my choice. Vance also asked, what is Asher's favorite sport to watch, or is it too soon? Yeah, it's probably a little too soon. Asher's favorite things on television right now are Miss Rachel, which is on Netflix. There's like 4 episodes, and one of them's not quite age appropriate for him yet. It's a little older. It's phonics based, and Asher's not really talking yet, so we skip over the phonics one, which means there are really 3 episodes of Miss Rachel that we can watch. And I have seen all of them. I'm just wagering here, probably about 12 to 15 times each. So now, like, I talk in her cadence and I sing all the songs. And I try not. We try not to, as parents, like, we're not going to let Asher like veg out in front of the TV. So if the TV is on and it's showing like a child's program, Daniel Tiger is another one he likes on PBS Kids. They show him the Daniel Tiger. We try to like interact with Asher while we're watching the TV, talk to him, sing along with him, hold him, the whole thing, so that he's not just like vegging out. We're trying to create like good habits and make it an interactive thing for him and not just something that we're sticking him in front of so we can have 5 minutes apiece. So that's what he likes on TV. I don't know. I can tell you he has a whole bunch of like little like toy balls to throw around, but he's not showing me like a predilection for one over the other. It's not like, oh, he really loves his football or he really loves his basketball. He'll pick one up and he'll throw it, and he'll pick another one up and he'll hand it to me, and he'll pick another one up and he'll try and throw it. The thing he does, he puts it up on the top of his head, and then he kind of like lets it drop like behind his head, lets it roll off instead of like throwing it, flinging it forward over his head. He just kind of lets it roll down his back. I think that's probably because I've shown him a lot of Nikola Jokic highlights, and he's trying to do some like the over the head blind passing that Jokic does for the Nuggets. I like to think that's what it is. I'm delusional, but that's what I like to think. Thanks for the questions today, guys. That was fun. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll preview tonight's Royals game after this. .549 on 580 Sports Talk. Down the home stretch on this Thursday edition of the show today. No show tomorrow. So when you turn on the radio and you don't hear us, don't worry. We're not going anywhere. We're just taking the holiday off. We'll be back on Monday. Next week, big week on the show. I will be in Frisco, Texas, Tuesday and Wednesday for Big 12 football media days. Looking forward to that. Some exclusive conversations with KU and K-State players and coaches and other Big 12 movers and shakers. Try to get Brett Yormark on this year. Tried to get him on 2 years ago. We were going to get him on, and then he got sidetracked. I think like Fox wanted him, and stupid Fox. They always get what they want. It's just because they spent billions of dollars in the TV contract. Anyway, I'm obviously kidding. We'll try and get as many interviews as we can. We'll play them on the show here on 580 Sports Talk over really the full week. It will be so jam-packed with interviews. We won't be able to play them all on just 2 days. We'll have lots of days of content from Big 12 Media Days, so we're looking forward to that. Look forward to visiting lovely Frisco and the Star. That's coming up next week. Also next week, be listening for your chance to win tickets to see Whiskey Myers at the Starlight Theater in Kansas City. We'll have some tickets to give away throughout the week for your chance to go see Whiskey Myers, who I thought was a relief pitcher for the 1933 St. Louis Browns. But I am told that is not true, actually. I, honest to God, felt like I heard Whiskey Myers and I went to a baseball reference. Like, yeah, old Whiskey Myers, he had a mean screwball. No, it's music, and told us a great show. It's going to be at Starlight Theater on the, I believe the 17th. But we'll have tickets next week to give away here on, the 12th. Excuse me, the 12th. So be listening for your chance to win some tickets next week here on 580 Sports Talk. We'll give away some Royals tickets next week as well. They're at home for a handful of games before the All-Star break. Royals and Mariners wrap up their 4-game series tonight. Royals got to have this one. They really need at least a split in this series so they don't fall too far behind the pack in the AL wild card. They got Seth Lugo on the bump tonight, having a nice year, really pitching well of late. 24 strikeouts in his last 18 innings over 3 starts. Royals could use some length from him, too. It'd be wonderful he could get 6+ tonight. Going up against a good one, Brian Wu, who's about a decade younger than Lugo, but having a very similar year, 2.93 ERA for the right-hander Wu. The lineup tonight for the Royals, no Jack Caglione. He needs a day off in the worst way. It'll be Jonathan India at second base leading off. Bobby Witt Jr. at short. Vinny Pasquantino is the first baseman. Michael Garcia will hit cleanup and play third base, and Salvador Perez will catch. John Rave batting 6th tonight in right field. Nick Lofton is in left, batting 7th. Freddie Fermin will DH and bat 8th. Kyle Isbell batting 9th in center field. The lineup for Seattle, J.P. Crawford will lead off at short, and then Julio Rodriguez in center, and Cal Raleigh back in the lineup after a night off will do the catching. Babe Ruth, Randy Arozarena, no difference in this series so far, will play left field and bat cleanup. Jorge Polanco's the DH, Luke Raley's at first base. Dominic Canzone is the right fielder, batting 7th. Ben Williamson at third, bats 8th, and then the second baseman, Cole Young, bats 9th. Big one for the Royals. They've really got to have it and have that split in Seattle before they head to Arizona for 3 this weekend. One final timeout here on 580 Sports Talk. I'll come back with the final word. Time for a final word. It's my final word for the week. Since we do not have a radio show tomorrow, we'll take the holiday off, and then we'll come back on Monday. And as I mentioned, next week's a big week on the program with the Big 12 Football Media Days. Talking season firing up in Frisco. Excited to be there and bring you exclusive interviews with KU and K-State players and coaches next week, and a whole lot more from the Star in Frisco. But until then, tomorrow's 4th of July, and I will make the same plea that I make every year on this show. And do not confuse this plea for me being anti-fireworks. They're not my thing. They're not the thing I'm going to go spend money on or the thing I'm going to spend a lot of energy on, but they are sure pretty sometimes. They are sure fun to watch. And so salute to everybody who does go and spend the money and clear out the driveway and put on the tunes and shoots them into the sky in your neighborhood. I salute you. And I hope that everybody enjoys the fireworks. I will certainly enjoy seeing them as they go up over my neighborhood tomorrow night. I will enjoy them very much. I do not want this to come off as scolding or anti-fireworks, and I hope that it never does, but I make this same plea every year. Number one, please put your hands up in front of you and count the number of fingers that you have right now. Let's all make it our mission to have the same number of fingers when we reconvene here on Monday. How's that sound, huh? How about we all promise ourselves that we're going to have the same number of fingers on Monday that we have here today on July 3rd? Okay, let's start there. Number two, do be mindful of your neighbors' pets, your neighbors' small children, your neighbors who maybe served in the military and are dealing with PTSD. Just be mindful of those people and maybe put a bow on it around a decent time instead of continuing to shoot them off well past midnight. Just all for it. Just put a bow on them at an appropriate time, perhaps. But be safe. Enjoy your 4th of July, whatever it is that you may be doing. Be safe out there. Let's all keep all our fingers and have a great weekend. We'll be back on Monday from 3 until 6. My name is Dan Lucero, and this was 580 Sports Talk. Good night.